Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Agostinho Zinga Show with your host, Agostinho Zinga, and I hope you are doing well wherever this podcast may find you. It's your host, Agostinho Zinga, episode number 702. That's 703, I think you say, 703 of the Agostinho Zinga Show, and I hope you are fine wherever this podcast may find you. I hope you are doing great. This is another rare one where I'm doing it live. Usually I don't like doing it live. I like to pre-record it so I have time to edit it and have time to pace myself. But so much interesting breaking news has happened in my little space that I had to, lend my flipping opinion on it before I jet back to work again. So I'm very, very sorry that it's coming at you live and I might sound a bit frantic whenever you end up hearing this. If you're wondering why I'm breathing so heavily, why I'm not taking any breaths, why I'm flipping speaking at 75 or more miles per hour, it's because so much stuff has happened at my dear United, at my within my areas of expertise that I just have to talk about it. So strap in, grab yourself a drink, put some moisturizer on your face, maybe splash some water on your face, whatever you need to do to get going, because I promise you this is going to be a jam-packed roller coaster of a show. Roller coaster, jam-packed version of the show. So first things first, before we get into anything, right? Let's just pick about this. I'm wondering what's going on nowadays with artists, musicians especially, who are just refusing or are unable to put out hit records. Like, what is that all about? Like, no one's really trying to craft like a banger. Like, okay, I'm trying to go for the summer banger. I'm trying to go for the year, because now, summer's already gone, but I'm trying to go for I want to make the banger for 2023. That doesn't exist anymore. People nowadays are probably thinking more about bodies of work. They're thinking about having singles that maybe, kind of jump on the algorithms or become viral, whatever it may be. But you rarely hear people now, especially the newer artists, who are actively trying to create hit records. So it was a pleasant surprise when I was perusing all the newly released singles that came out last week and albums and stuff, because usually I don't listen to singles. Usually I'm a weird person like that. I have to listen to bodies of work unless it's like a single from somebody I trust. I just kind of put them to one side. So I thought, you know what? Let me listen to this single because I trust every single person involved in this record to make a good tune. Let me just whack it on and see what I want. And I was pleasantly surprised to hear how fresh and hitty this particular song sounded. And if you want to know what song I'm talking about, it's a song by Timbaland, Nelly Furtado, and Justin Timberlake called Keep Going Up. It's a bit cheesy. It's a bit of a bop, right? It's the kind of thing that you might put on in the shower when you're getting ready and stuff. But it really reminded me of a time in history where people, especially artists, would go out of their way to try and create hit records. People don't do that nowadays, and I'm not really sure why. Don't get me wrong, Keep Going is not gonna, Keep Going Up isn't gonna change the world. It's not super fucking out of the ordinary, but it just sounds like Timbaland was trying to make a hit record. When he put this beat together, he was like, okay, let's put something together that slaps, but also something together that's a bop, something that together that's light, that's airy, that sounds fun. And then let's get Nelly Furtado and Justin Timberlake in the studio and let them fucking crone on it. Right, do you know what I mean? Opening verse, chorus and stuff, like layering the voices, like stupendous. And this track as well, the really funny thing about it, the really interesting thing about it is that I feel like nowadays, a lot of records, I don't know if maybe it's my DJ brain, but I feel like a lot of records nowadays, they have a lot of there's a lot of repetition, especially in the first maybe 16 bars of a track. It kind of feels like the beat repeats, a phrase repeats, a drop repeats, an opening verse repeats, whatever. It's just a lot of repetition. But I like that in this particular track, I'm pretty sure it's 12 seconds in because it's a bop already. It comes on. I think it starts with the I keep going up. Yeah, exactly. You hear that little croning thing happen on the intro, and then immediately the beat kicks in. immediately the beat kicks in after this little crony like kind of intro thing with Justin Timberlake, voice kind of echoing in the background. Immediately on like the 12-second mark, maybe 11-second mark, the beat drops in. And usually nowadays, other songs, it kind of gets to 30 seconds before you hear a vocal sometimes, or even sometimes before the beat even kicks in. So it's really good to kind of hear it kick in, and then you're ready to dance straight away. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the song that came out the other recently this year that was meant to be a banger that kind of came and went. Troye Sivan's Rush, that had a similar sort of feel to it. Like it didn't have to take ages to warm up. It just sort of hit you across the head and kind of made you decide, hey, do you want to bop to me? Are you going to skip this record? Like, you have to make a decision now. It's not going to let you, like, sit with it and think and then deliberate and then make your mind up. No. We're going to go for it straight away. And it really is a bit of a bop. And it's so much of a bop that I was thinking to myself, you know what? This actually sounds like a lot of the records these days, to this year especially, that I feel like tried to be hit records. And then I put it in a playlist of back-to-back songs, and it sounded perfect together. I put it in a playlist alongside Troye Sivan's Rush and alongside Kylie Minogue's album that came out, single that came out recently too, called, Padam Padam. Play those songs back-to-back. Play Troye Sivan's Rush, play Keep Going, or Keep Going Up, by Nelly Furtado, Justin Timberlake and Timbaland, and then play Padam Padam by Kylie Minogue back to back, and I guarantee you'll have a little good 13-minute bop that you could kind of have on your playlist. It's really, really good, those songs. I really recommend them if you haven't listened to them already. They got me in a good mood. I had them playing in the gym and I was feeling good. I had it played them. Usually, a good sign of a record that's really fun and I'm enjoying is I'm flipping, just pressing, I'm rewinding it back again. I'm going back again. Or I might even go in the options bar and say, you know what? Repeat that one record again, my friend. Repeat that record again. And I've enjoyed it. So big up Timbaland and Nelly Furtado and Timberlake for putting together an absolutely banging record. Keep Going Up by those three. Check it out if you haven't already, please. It's absolutely fantastic. Next on the list, to quickly mention this, quick little moan. So the other day, I went out for the first time in a long time. For the most part, I'm not really too sure why I haven't been going out. I think most of it has to do with laziness, to be completely honest. And obviously, I've had a lot to do. I haven't really had time to go out and get kind of buck wild. So I've kind of, purposely been leaving the outdoor life to for another time, right? It is what it is. So finally got out, had a good time, but it was a bit of an interesting experience because I think I had a bit of a revelation. So I decided to go out and test the waters and go to a new club that I haven't been to before called 60 Dock Road. It's this club by a former club in London that was really amazing in Tottenham called The Cause. They've now got two locations. They've got this place called 60 Dock Road that's near the Canning Town-ish type area in East London. And then they've got this other venue in Hackney Wick, which I forgot the name of it, but it's basically, it's two different type of clubs. There's one that's got an outdoor space, one that doesn't have an outdoor space for the most part in parts of London. So whatever. So the 60 Dock Road place is a place where they usually have the longer late night type of events because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. You can kind of get away with a lot more over there. And I haven't been there just yet. So I decided to go there for a night called Adonis, which is primarily a gay, queer, LGBTQ forward party, which you can tell straight away by checking out their Instagram, right? You kind of get the vibe of what they're about from their logo and the Instagram and stuff. But in general, they usually have some really interesting and fresh bookings. That's the main reason why I want to go, right? A lot of DJs that I like, specifically this time around, they had this DJ called Cormac, who's one of my favorite disco DJs to go and listen to. He was going to play there, and usually he's a bit of a big deal. He plays at a lot of really famous clubs around the world. So to see him play at this kind of a club that's a little bit below maybe his level was quite cool, because it's quite nice to see these bigger DJs get a chance to play at smaller clubs, because usually they like that experience and they kind of, take it with both hands and kind of really show out. So I was really looking forward to seeing Cormac perform at 60 Dock Road. So I decided to venture out, and, maybe it was the wrong type of place to go to that late at night, because I did decide very late at night, maybe 2 a.m. that I was going to go there. The previous plan was to go to Fold for the Malajunta night. I went to go see D-Dan and DJ Tool play, and Hyperactivist and stuff. But late, I made a last minute change. I was like, you know what? Fuck Fold. I go there all the fucking time. It's a bit boring. Let me switch it up a little bit and go somewhere else. So let's go to this next place. I go to the next place. I decided to jump in an Uber. All good, no problem. Arrive at the place a bit quicker than I thought I would arrive there, and it's not really exactly on the map where it should be, but I arrived there. It's all well and good. And then as soon as I get there, I probably should have realized, like, again, doesn't mean anything really in the big scheme of things, but I think I should have realized that the night wasn't going to go well from my first interaction as I pulled up to the club. Because 60 Dock Road, the kind of the street it's on, it kind of feels, because everyone's around, because I didn't realize, because it's the first time I've been there, I didn't realize that everyone standing around was either waiting for an Uber to get there, or they were probably waiting for their dealers to come and deliver them their drugs or something. I don't know. So I didn't know where the entrance was. So I jumped out of the Uber and I was like, to some random girl that was coming out, I was like, oh, hey, is this 60 Dock Road? Like, trying to point behind where she was going, or is it over there? Like, I didn't really know where I was. And she kind of gave me like a bit of a frosty response. Like, leave me alone. Yeah, of course it's over there kind of thing. And that immediately put me in a bad space. I was like, oh, fucking hell. Like, what the hell's going on? I just got here and I'm already vibing out people, right? Like, okay, cool. Well, okay, no worries. It is what it is. Everyone's out to think what they think. So I continue to walk in. To go to the place. And as soon as I get to near where the doors were, they've got this fucking airport terminal security thing. We have to kind of snake around, and maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm just too spoiled from going to all these other cool, European cities and partying in places where they don't search you like you're fucking going through the airport. But that sort of stuff really bums me out. I'm like, oh, for goodness sake, I'm gonna have to take off my bag, fucking spread myself like a starfish. Like, it's just another little bit of a vibe killer. Anyway, we go through that. The security that doing it are pretty cool, no problem. I know where to put my things. All well and good. I get to the point where I'm gonna get the tickets, and then it's a second sign that this night isn't going to go well. As I pull up to the place I'm going to get the tickets, you know me, I want to be fun. I want to be ha hee hee. So the guy at the ticket booth thing is like looking down at his phone, and the booth is like a little bit high up. And I'm not a short guy, but it's a little bit high up. It's not like low. It's not like eye level. It's a bit high up. So you kind of feel like you're in school looking up at the headmaster. So I rock up to the little table. I'm like, hey, could I get a ticket, please? And then as I'm saying that, because it's like, I don't know, 2:30, and they were, I think, closing, or I think last entry was like 3 or something, I tried to make a joke about, I just got here in time, or something along those lines, right? Maybe it didn't come out right. I don't know. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's the way I speak. Maybe it's my breath. Who knows? But that guy did not respond in the slightest to my attempt to kind of he break the ice or make a joke in that weird little moment where he was trying to get the ticket thing up. Nah, nothing. He's like, yeah, and then that was it. And then he said, oh, can you give me your phone? Can you hand me your phone? I got the phone. I gave the phone to him, and then he just like put the sticker on there where you're meant to get a little sticker, right? You see that little Adonis sticker down the back so you can cover the camera. And then he just handed me back just didn't hand back my phone. He just pushed it back towards my direction. And I said, is there no wristband or anything? He's like, no. And then just continued looking back down on the phone again. And I was like, oh my God. I got kind of vibed out at the front before I walked in when I asked that girl, hey, is that the place? And she reacted like I tried to fucking jump inside her skirt. Cool. Then when I go to the door to go and pay for the ticket, the guy then like couldn't give a fuck if I was there or not. And then decided, to kind of send me on my way. Then I'm kind of walking through the place to go to 60 Dock Road, and it's a very expansive space. It's a really amazing space, to be fair. Unfortunately for us in London, most likely because 60 Dock Road has become quite popular and everyone goes there to club, as per usual, the gentrification hammer will come, over that place very, very quickly if it hasn't already. And I'm sure in a couple of years it will all be turned into fucking, pathetic glass and steel, fucking flats that nobody needs. But right now it's a very cool space. There's loads of little corners to sit around in. There's loads of little rooms to go in. It's a really expansive place, but it's huge place. So you walk in and there's this area before you get to the club where everyone's sort of sitting around. It's all like the smoking area. It's like there's like benches and chairs everywhere. And because it's like a gay night, there's loads of dudes around and everybody's looking at everyone. Like, it's because that's what usually happens. It's like everybody's just like, they're on it, they're ready to go. Whatever action, they're ready to go. But it's also a little bit like high schoolish. You kind of feel a little bit awkward because you're not too sure if they're checking you out, they're judging you, they're like, they're saying mean things about you. You don't know. So you walk in to get, and it's like this big space where everyone's in front, like, looking cool and shit. And here I am clumping along, right? Trying to find my way, and everyone's just staring at me, or like whoever's just walked in, not just me, everybody. And I'm thinking, oh man, damn it. This is not gonna go well. So anyway, I think, you know what, whatever, dumb. No problem. Let me do my usual, head straight to the flipping toilets, have a little dick-dack, have a little dat-dat, and then I'll be ready in my mood. So I went to the toilets, and then of course I get into the toilets, and the toilets is just, it's fucking hot-y heaven. Do you know what I mean? If you're into dudes, the toilet was like just full, wall to wall of like the most ripped jack guys I've ever seen in my entire life. Like everybody looked like they just finished their CrossFit class that night and they went straight to the clubs. People were just like tops off, jacked, ready to go, right? You walk into there, and again, they've probably all been out way longer than I have as well. Let's keep that in mind. So I'm walking into a club at like 2:30 when these guys have bbeen here since like 10 a.m. So I'm right, it's the wrong time. So I get in there and everyone's like, "Arr!" And I'm like, just trying to get my bearings in. I have my little tick tock. But, that energy is a bit weird to get into because everyone's up and I'm like still just, I've just arrived. I've probably had a couple fucking, beers on the way there, but nothing crazy. Then I get to the dance floor and it's amazing. The dance floor is fucking amazing. Like, honestly, I hear Cormac playing for maybe the last half an hour or 45 minutes and he absolutely kills it. And it legitimately reminded me of some of the best nights I've had in other parts of Europe that other people like Berlin and stuff. It literally reminded me of that. Like, it was so cool to be in a London club and see people dancing everywhere, like wall to wall. No one on their phone, no one fucking acting too stush, acting too cool. Everyone just going for it, throwing shapes, dancing. Amazing. You had all these amazing fucking what you call it? People dancing on the tables next to the DJ booth, which you don't see ever happening in London because everyone here is so like shy and scared about this sort of stuff, and security authorities to come and jump down the tables. But you see all these amazing looking guys and girls and whatever on the DJ booth dancing around. And 60 Dock Road has this amazing kind of little space behind the DJ booth. It's kind of like a little like dance area, but also seating, but also you could jump up and dance basically on the DJ booth type of thing. It's flipping amazing, the little space they've got. There's a massive disco ball that kind of hangs really low. Like, it's super sick. Amazing. Great dance floor everywhere. Everything was amazing. I loved it, right? I really, really loved it. And then you had like a couple flipping really amazing looking flipping drag queens dancing on either end of the table that Cormac was like DJing on. That was absolutely amazing to see. So all of that, fantastic, great, loved it. But I just wasn't getting there. Like, everything was amazing. The atmosphere, the people. I just wasn't able to kind of rev up. I wasn't able to rev up. And after a while, I kept trying to chase it by going to the toilets and getting my little tick-tack on. But that also wasn't working. So I got to a point, I was like, you know what? I'm experienced enough now where I know if you keep chasing if you keep chasing this moment, it's just never going to happen. And then you're just going to be in a weird space by the time 6 o'clock comes around. So I just pressed pause at like 4:30. I just pressed pause. I was like, you know what? I'm going to press pause. I'm done now. And then I was done. I was just kind of observing it I was just observing it like an observer, just standing around. And then I immediately felt like, you know what? I shouldn't be here, Now I kind of get it. I shouldn't be here because I'm not partaking in all the fun that these guys are having, clearly. And I'm just taking up space because I'm not really dancing or having a good time. So why the hell am I here? I should go somewhere else, really and truly. And that's when I actually, embarrassingly enough, understood now, for real, why gays, queers, and people from that LGBTQ community, especially in London, why they get so annoyed when the cis people like myself go to their spaces, because we take up space, we take up room, whatever it may be, and I'm pretty sure we just emanate a vibe of just not being congruent to what they're doing. We're not clocked in. Like, because I go to a lot of these parties anyway, so I'm not freaked out by anything that I'm seeing, right? It's not, so I'm not like, I'm going, oh my God. I mean, I'm cool with everything going around, but I'm sure even me being cool, I still kind of emit a vibe or something. Do you know what I mean? That I'm not really part of their community or part of their crew. Just, you can't help but just emit that. It's just gonna come off of you, right? That's why fucking gaydars probably exist and shit. So it just didn't click. So I just realized, you know what? I'm taking up space. I shouldn't really be here. You know what I mean? That's when I kind of realized what's going on. I was like, oh, this didn't make no sense. But then when I kind of got past all that, I was already there. You know, I'm not going to leave now. I just flipping got there. I was like, you know what? I've also realized I'm kind of getting bored of it as well, a little bit. Because I was in a space where I was surrounded by people who were really enjoying themselves and having a time of their lives. And I got to say, in London now, if you're from that community, or if you're a part of that community, there's no better time to club, or probably there's no better city in Europe, with the exception of maybe, you know, Berlin and Amsterdam, where you can flipping party at all these amazing gay, queer, LGBTQ plus friendly events. We have some of the best. I say that some of the best in Europe, maybe even the world right now. It's probably the best moment ever. It's a great renaissance of all those events, because they're making these events, you know, they're super focused and catered to their community. They don't give a fuck about anybody else. They're just trying to talk to their people. They book their people, they promote it to their people, and that's it. Some of these events, they don't even put them up on Resident Advisor. Some of these events are like word of mouth. Like I've seen certain group chat conversations where people are like, hey, don't post about this on Instagram, don't share this anywhere, don't tag your locations. Like some of these events are like proper like needs to know basis, because they don't want to let any outside forces that are don't get it to be in there and ruin the mood. So that's how much you know, that's how much care is being given to this, right? That's how much attention to detail is going into creating these amazing nights, because people know in London, by and large, the club scene is shit. It's fucking terrible. Don't let anybody lie to you. Fold is the only decent club we have, and Fold isn't like, you know, the greatest club in the world. It's the only good club we have, and everybody puts it on a pedestal because it's the only decent one we have. Everything else is fucking garbage. A lot of these good DJs that are coming in and playing in London, unless they're playing in Fold and stuff, it's a waste of time, really, for the most part. Every other club they go to is a waste of time, because, you know, it's not going to be open too long. The club itself is shit. It's got crazy security. Like, all of it's fucking nonsense. So these other events that those people from that community, the gay, queer, LGBT community, are doing, they're doing them in interesting spaces. They're doing them outdoors. They're doing them in like warehouse spaces and unlicensed spaces. They're booking interesting DJs. They're installing their own sound systems. They're actually, what's that word called? They're doing a lot of the, I guess you call it production, when it comes to kind of just putting the event together and having loads of amazing, like, and even at Adonis, they had these amazing films playing on the screen, adult films. They had these amazing disco balls and art installations and amazing drag queens walking around the place, and everybody dressed in amazing outfits. Oh, one thing that I was interested to say with this, it was actually refreshing to go to a London nightclub listening to that type of music and seeing people who are wearing harnesses and braces and stuff, right? But they were actually functional. Because a lot of the times that you go out now in London, everybody's kind of wearing PVC and like, you know, harnesses and latex and all this malarkey. And it's just like techno cosplay, right? It's just pretend shit. It's just all these cute girls wearing this stuff that's from this very, very niche subculture, but they don't know nothing about it. Just want to look hot. Whereas it's good to see and go to those type of nights like Adonis and see guys actually using the harness. You know what I mean? Using wrist straps, like, yeah, I mean, dog walking each other around the club. That was actually refreshing to see. I'm not going to lie. I was like, okay, thank God. These guys are really about that life. There's none of that fucking techno fucking cosplay shit. None of that fucking pretend, oh, look, I like to party. I'm going to buy an Amazon fucking strap. Nah. These guys were really using straps. No pun intended. Like, straps were being used in that place, and it was refreshing to see. But It was also a really stern reminder for myself that not all raves are created equal and not all raves are for you. Sometimes it's good to just leave these things for the people that it's made for, and for you to unfortunately go to my shitty, boring, drab, repetitive, nonsense cis parties. It's honestly annoying. Because, I'm going to have to go to Phonics again. I'm going to have to go try and make Pickle Factory work. I'm going to have to try to go fucking Night Tales. It's bullshit and it's terrible. So I've decided now, going forward, most likely, what I'm going to do is just have a break. I'm going to have a break until the end of the year. If I want to go out and get my rave fix, like if I want to go out, what I'm going to probably end up doing is going to flipping Pirate Studios, right? And gonna go and DJ there. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go Pirate Studios. I'm gonna book a little session there and play my things, maybe stream something and go and DJ. But the times of me going out and just trying to wing it and try my luck in places, they're gone. I'm not doing it anymore. It's too crap. It's too shit out there. And these type of parties like Adonis, they're amazing. They're brilliant. They're fun times, but they're not made for me. And I'm just taking up space. I'm not there in the same vibe as them. I'm arriving at 2:30 in the morning, still kind of sober, chasing a high, looking like an absolute statue in the corner of the fucking rave or an undercover cop or something like, you know what I mean? Vibing everybody out. So I'd rather not go there and ruin these people's nights and just do my own thing at Pirate. But I'm also not going to waste my money and go and get frisked like I'm at an airport and go to fucking Fabric. I'm not doing that. So I'd rather just have a strong break and just relax. That's what I'm going to do. But I do encourage you, if you are a part of that community or you do want to engage in some acts or whatever you want to do and you're looking for an alternative night to go out to, I do implore you to check out fucking Adonis. It was really good. It was spread, I think, across like 4 rooms. It was on from like 9 to like 8 a.m. in the morning. Like, it was crazy. And this part of East London that it's in is Canning Town. It's kind of like a place where I basically grew up, and it's a very rundown area, but it's also very it's kind of an untapped space. It's kind of far out of place, not near a lot of residential homes. So a lot of the complaints that, homeowners have about noise pollution doesn't exist there. So they can go a bit crazy with the sound. Like, it was really loud in there. They were, they kind of were going a bit over the limit and whatnot. And I think most of it's because of where it is location wise. So it's a really fun place to go to, those type of places. So I really do recommend you go check it out. But yeah, that was my epiphany when I went there. I was like, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, these parties aren't for me. That's what I came away thinking. Maybe these parties aren't for me, maybe. But yeah, go check out Adonis. Those guys do flipping amazing parties. I had a great time. I just wish I came into it with a better fucking mood and I would have enjoyed it more. But hey, there it is. There it is. So, quickly moving on. I want to talk about this. So this news came across my timeline just now before I started streaming or before I started recording this podcast. And it's regarding the one and only Heron Preston. My guy, Heron Preston, has just got a flipping amazing gig confirmed here, courtesy of Business of Fashion. It says H&M taps Heron Preston as Creative Menswear Advisor. Now, off the back of the news about Tremaine having to step down at Supreme because he felt like Supreme was systemically racist and all the conversation around that, it's quite nice to see somebody from that Virgil Abloh RIP crew get a chance at doing having one of these jobs where you're kind of, you got a big job for a big brand and you're kind of overseeing something, overseeing a whole little team and stuff, and maybe that can help out your own little thing. So it's kind of cool to see that going. So let's read the actual article. My man, guy like me doesn't pay for flipping Business of Fashion accounts and stuff, so I had to quickly load the page up and and do a little thing. So let's see what it says in the actual article on Business of Fashion. So they say the following: H&M has recruited streetwear designer Heron Preston to be in-house advisor, forming what the company calls a long-term partnership that will yield Preston's his own seasonal capsule collections for the brand, as well as his input on the menswear line. That's pretty incredible. So not only is he gonna have a collaboration with H&M, he's also going to have the ability to influence what they do globally overall for menswear. That's a pretty interesting design challenge. I think that's a pretty cool thing to try to tackle. Because maybe in some ways, being the creative director supreme is way harder because they're quite locked in to what they do. And also, it's not the most, although it's really popular, it's not like a super commercial brand. It's still kind of very niche. It still talks to a particular type of audience. They still do things a certain way. It's still kind of run by one guy, and James Jebbia. Do you know what I mean? They don't really have many shareholders they have to answer to apart from VF Corp and whatnot. So it probably is a harder job to do because there's a lot more restrictions that you have to kind of, dance around or move around and stuff. But when it comes to the H&M stuff, you would imagine, because it's a corporation, they're going to give you a little bit more license to like do some stuff, right? Because they basically tapped you because you're this quote unquote celebrity designer. You're well known. And then they want to kind of get the most out of you. So they're going to give you license to do stuff. And then of course, if the sales bang, then boom, you've got the runway to do like way more stuff. So maybe there's an argument to be said, being the H&M creative advisor for menswear is an actual easier job than being the supreme creative director. It doesn't sound like it because supreme is just t-shirt and hoodies, but I think there's some truth in it. It continues. The fast fashion giant, like many other accessible brands, is no stranger to collaborations. Since the early 2000s, H&M has brokered annual collaborations with some of the fashion's biggest names, including Maison Margiela, Stella McCartney, and Versace. H&M had made a splash in February after launching a coveted collaboration with celebrity fashion label Mugler, whose namesake designer Erik Mugler died a year prior. Ahead of the release, shoppers queued. Okay, cool, we heard about that. But like so many collaborations, the excitement was there for one day and gone the next. With Heron Preston, H&M is breaking its decades-long playbook on collaborations. Instead of investing in a short-term hype that comes with one-off tie-ups, H&M is betting that Preston's continued presence at the brand will boost the appeal of its core products in the long run. The company has dubbed this partnership H2. Get it? H&M could use the boost. In recent years, the retailer has come under increasing pressure from agile, online-only fast fashion conglomerates such as Shein. So H&M is competing with Shein. Can you imagine that world that we live in? Because if you're gonna wear like fast fashion shit, I would pick the stuff that you'd get from Uniqlo, H&M, and even Zara over Shein. But I guess nowadays, because people just want certain looks, you can get a certain look from Shein. Like I'm sure there does exist a version of double knee pants if you just want the style. If you want the style of Carhartt double knee pants, I'm sure if you go on Shein right now, you can find something along those lines for far cheaper than you're going to buy double knee pants, even used. They might not be wearable after 2 wears. They might absolutely disintegrate in the wash. But if you just want the look, then you can do it. So H&M are having to flip and battle with those type of guys in real time, which is fucking crazy because H&M's price point, it's not expensive, but also it's not as cheap as Shein. So a lot of people out there that actually, but which is funny as well, I always sort of think about it. Whenever I see people on, fashion Twitter arguing about collaborations or arguing about collections and whatnot, I always think to myself, like, how much actual designer do you actually have in your wardrobe? A lot of these people that have the biggest opinions sometimes, or the most controversial ones, usually have a wardrobe that consists of mostly high street stuff. But here they are pontificating about collections and what this designer should have done and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, brother, come on. Sister, come on. Anyway, it continues. We know people will appreciate the product Heron creates simply because of who he is, says Daniel Herman, director of H&M's menswear business. And we're excited to bring his creative vision deeper inside our process too. Yo, Daniel, pause, brother. Deeper inside our process too. Bro, he really likes Heron, innit? He really likes him. Big up HP. Retailers like Uniqlo have had success by deploying a more permanent collaboration strategy than the sporadic capsules. In 2016, the Japanese chain tapped French designer Christophe Lemaire to be in the in-house artistic director, launching the Uniqlo U line of elevated everyday basics that quickly became a cult favorite among fashion insiders. Since then, Uniqlo U and Uniqlo large, has garnered mainstream popularity among young consumers thanks to high-quality products, Lemaire's signature functional designs, and a few viral moments. Asics, meanwhile, has transformed its niche sports footwear into a coveted line of fashion-forward sports-style sneakers, courtesy of long-term collaborations with London-based menswear designer Kiko Kostaninov, who's also a fervent, he was back in the day, Virgil hater. Like, you know, if you know, you know. Anyway, Preston will have a wider ranging reign over H&M's menswear offering, seeing 4 pillars: design advisory, which will see him consult on brands' mainline menswear; special collaboration design specifically by Preston; talent curation, intended to allow Preston to connect creatives in his network for additional collaboration with H&M. That is such a genius move. That is such a genius move. It continues, which will include projects such as circularity. How do you say that word? Circularity initiative. What the fuck is that? What does circularity mean? Me never heard this word. What does circularity mean? Circularity. What the fuck is that? Round design. What the fuck does round design mean? Circularity. Okay, whatever. Circularity initiative in which consumers can submit their old clothing. Oh, fuck, come on, bro. Come on, man. Just, I don't know. What do they call it nowadays? Repurposed. I don't know, whatever. Just use that word. Circularity, man. Those are buzzwords. That just mean they're going to take your old shit and what? Stitch new logos on it. Or double stitch the fucking seam or something. Like, come on. Or patch up the holes. Come on, bro. Circularity. Anyway, I love you, H&M, but you gotta chill. Can submit their old clothing for use in future capsule collections designed by Preston, which I guess ties into that thing that he did with the New York City fucking Department of whatever he did back in the day. The idea at first, it says as a quote, is for our work to be very experimental, said Preston, who began his integration with the brand this month with knowledge sharing and consulting session with H&M design team. Look at how they approached this, bro. They had Heron Preston in a whole month before this got announced, doing knowledge sharing and consultancy sessions. So basically he went and had 1 month's worth of training and handover with whoever had that job previously before it was announced. That might be the actual way to go and do these collaborations going forward, because a lot of these people, they're going to want to tap in or they're going to want to tap up for collaborations. Like if you think about it, a lot of these big fashion houses, a lot of these big brands, a lot of these people basically just want to guarantee sales. And the only way to guarantee sales is to tap up the most popular people, the people that are selling the most. And usually, for the most part, the people who are selling the most are the ones that have the least formal training. But it's also a big risk, right? The ones that at least have the least formal training, it's also a big risk to get them and to plug them into your organization and hope that it kind of works. So what better way to kind of, you know, increase your chance of success by having them come in and actually learn how you guys work and how you operate, how you do things before they then go and do their own thing. That is the best way to do it, because I know for me, when you start a new job, there's nothing worse than getting shitty training. You get shitty training, or you start a new job and you're a bit shy. You don't want to ask any questions because you don't want to seem like you don't know what you're doing. You're a little bit insecure, or you're a little bit, you know, whatever it may be. Maybe you don't have the experience anyway. You just got the job off a fluke, whatever it may be. But when you start, you're already starting, you know, kind of at a disadvantage. So you don't even get a chance to even flex whatever creative muscles, whatever creative flair you have. You don't even get a chance to flex it because you don't even have to do the fundamentals. Unless you have no other fundamentals, you can't really get creative. So it's really good that they're giving him, hey, here's some training, base level stuff. Here's how we work. Here's how the processes are. Here's how to get things approved. Here's who you need to go to in order to kind of, you know, whatever it may be, just so you can then go in. And then if you want to get a bit creative, you want to get a bit innovative, you want to kind of break the rules, you know where, you know what the flipping minimum requirements are, you know what the rules are, and you can kind of work around in them, over them, whatever it may be. It's a really great way to approach these sort of celebrity collaborations, you know, celebrity quote unquote, I would say, but you know what I mean. It continues. Preston's first 40-piece collection for the retailer is expected to launch in 2024. For the first for the fast fashion giant, working with Preston, a serial collaborator who launched collections with the likes of Calvin Klein, Nike, and even New York Department of Sanitation. That's what I said before, which may be tying with the whole circularity thing. Offers a chance to tap into the multi-hyphenate's creative cultural cachet among young menswear consumers. And that's where I think Heron might win. Because I think because he's had the experience of working at Nike, having all these collaborations under his belt, and always kind of being, I think, a little bit of an outsider. Because whenever I think of Heron's fashion or Heron's as a person, I always think of somebody who, for me, isn't really a fashion guy. He's similar to Tremaine in a way. He's more of an ideas guy. And maybe in Heron, it's more even increased. He's more like a proper ideas guy. So I think ideas guys can approach these sort of challenges a little bit more open-minded, because it then becomes a design challenge more so than, okay, I need to kind of get across my creativity or my fashion knowledge or my expertise or prove myself. It becomes, okay, how do I figure out this design problem? Right, like, and how do I and it's an interesting problem to kind of tackle. Like, designing on that sort of scale is probably something that most people who work in that kind of field would want to, try their luck at, because you get to take some of your ideas that you do with your own brand and you get to kind of, disseminate it on the biggest scale, or you get to try out some new interesting stuff that you would never had access to because you're working at that sort of level. And that knowledge, you would assume, will really help you when you then go back and work on your own brand. I think that sort of stuff is way different than having two, fashion brands at the same time. That's probably hard to kind of split your kind of creative muscles or juices, between two of those kind of places. But when you're kind of operating at a really high level or a really overground level with H&M, and then you've got your quote unquote underground street level brand, it's a bit easier to kind of take ideas from the top and give them to the bottom, and take ideas from the bottom and give them to the top. So I think his knowledge of working within those corporate structures will put him in a way better place than maybe Tremaine. Like, he's worked with he's had a boss, he's had collaborations, he's had people maybe checking his work and giving him notes, all those sort of things that maybe somebody that's already kind of done their own thing, had their own clout, kind of maybe find it hard to kind of work in. He probably knows how to kind of work within those constraints and still get his message across. So I think that's going to lend him in good stead. It continues. At the end of the day, we want to stay relevant, says Herman. We wanted to find a way to enhance our designers' collaborations in a way that actually brings inspiration into our internal process, not just a project that runs from a limited time. The designer was a frequent collaborator of Off-White founder Virgil Abloh, with whom he co-founded the streetwear and DJ collective Bin Trill in 2012. That's the interesting thing about ideas, isn't it? And that's why I think, myself included, it's so crucial to make sure that you get out all your ideas. Doesn't matter how dumb they are, make sure you ship them. And I'm not talking about putting stuff on flipping PDFs or putting stuff on line sheets or saving stuff as PNG files or having stuff on your Lacy drive. I mean, absolutely, without any rhyme or reason, shipping your shit. Whether it's a book, whether it's a video, whether it's a mix, whether it's a t-shirt, like, ship it. Actually have it available for people to consume, people to buy, people to touch, people to experience. Put it out there, because you never know how that piece of work will be looked at many years on when you then do the next big thing. Because at the time when Bin Trill was out here, people were laughing at these guys. They were laughing at them. They were like, what the hell are these guys doing? They think they got this like little streetwear boy band thing. The designs are horrible. This is so cringe. They can't DJ. This is shit. This is lame. And now look, many years since that thing has happened, whenever these guys get referenced in articles, it's always this collective crew, this flipping clique, this whatever. Do you know what I mean? They always talk about it in really lofty terms, They talk about it in really lofty terms, and when at the time when it was out there, people hated it. I remember having my little Bin Trill hat. Like, I bought one of those hats. I bought one of the Bin Trill 40-ounce Vans hats with the New York and the hashtags on either side and all the other shit around it. Like, I'm probably sure, if I go back to my mum's, I'll probably have it somewhere. I bought one of those fucking hats for like $50, and it took like, I had to pay $50 to fucking get it shipped. So I spent like $100 on a fucking snapback, right? And I remember people used to laugh at me. People used to laugh at me, mate. They used to call me corny, call me lame. Now look, mate, the people that designed that stuff have now gone on to essentially be, you know, some of the most important designers in culture right now. The ones that are literally leading the way. The ones that are on the mood boards of all these big brands and executives and trend forecasting companies. Like, these are the guys actually paving the way. These guys that did these hashtag things and, you know, they were all awkwardly standing behind the decks of some shitty pioneers that they hired. Like, this is what it's led to now. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? It continues. DJ Kid been Trill and also worked as creative director. Also worked as artistic director for Ye, the rapper designer formerly known as Kanye West. Preston remains at the helm of his namesake brand since it launched in partnership with New Guards Group in 2017. The brand is stocked at several luxury retailers including Essence, Harrods, and End. The story of him starting Heron Preston, and also then having the ability to work with New Guards Group and Virgil being the guy that brought him in is really sweet. I think the idea was like, he kept designing one-off little things, and then Virgil just kind of challenged him like a friend and said, hey, you got to do more, man. Put out some more stuff. He made some more stuff, and then Virgil kind of passed him on to his friends over at New Guards Group, who also own Off-White, and then the rest is history. Then he went into partnership with them, and they ended up producing, or manufacturing, whatever you want to call it, his brand. It's pretty cool how that story ties together. So he really has a lot to thank that guy for everything that he has so far. So it continues. Preston said that he was drawn to the opportunity to work at H&M because he welcomed the challenge of elevating the brand's overall product offerings. Wow, he's really on it, innit? Look at that. He wants to elevate what they have. One guy. Big up him. I was bored at the time H&M approached me. I'm glad he said that. Because I was going to say the last 2 or 3 collections of Heron Preston have been pretty boring and devoid of inspiration. They've all kind of felt the same. Now, I don't blame the guy because there's only so many ways you can present that almost utilitarian workwear inspired, fashion. Or like clothing. There's only some way you can present it. And unfortunately, when you put stuff on, I think there is something to be said for fashion runways being an opportunity for you to actually do fashion with a capital F, to actually kind of try to have some themes, have some overarching ideas, maybe try, and tell a narrative, whatever it may be. There is something to be said for that, because I think just having a runway and then having just t-shirts and hoodies and jackets go up and down it can kind of feel a little bit boring, especially if it's done the same way. And I felt like the last 3 seasons for Heron Preston felt a little bit tired, felt a little bit boring. So maybe this opportunity came at the right time, because this might inspire the guy and give him a little bit of a kick up the arse to get HP back up where it is, because of the back and forth that he's going to be doing between H&M and his own brand. Because effectively, he's going to be designing on 3 levels. He's going to be designing for and advising on H&M menswear overall. He's going to be working on his own capsule collection under H&M. And he's also going to be working on his own brand. So he's going to have to be splitting his brain across 3 things, plus whatever collaboration he has going on, the DJing stuff. Like, he's got a lot on his plate. But I think all of those things on his plates will actually make him not bored and will hopefully inspire everything that he does. So don't be surprised if you see an incredible leveling up from the guy going forward. So let me just repeat this. It says, I was bored at the time H&M approached me, but what they were offering was more than a typical boring collaboration, more than just about the product. If they just asked me to slap my logo on a t-shirt and hoodie, I probably would have told them no. Imagine being that paid up and that papered up. You could say no to the H&M bag because it didn't inspire you. Man, that's goals, bro. So yeah, that was the whole article of what he said. So congratulations to Heron Preston. And for me, personally, having met the guy once, many, many years ago, I have to say, if anybody deserves it, it's him. He legitimately might be the nicest guy I've come across in fashion, with the exception of Virgil. Legit. And I always say nicest because I think of it, unfortunately, that scene or that industry, a lot of it is like, people are kind of only nice to you when they know they can get something out of you, or they know you're someone prominent as well. It's like a little bit of a clout for clout, what can you do for me? I'll scratch your back, I'll scratch your back. You know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back type of thing, right? It's a bit annoying, but it kind of is what it is. But sometimes you meet people in this industry, in fashion, in streetwear and stuff, who are just nice to you because they're just nice to you. Because they're just fucking nice people. And Heron and fucking Virgil were two of those type of people that I met across my time in this little scene who were just genuinely nice, because I had absolutely nothing to offer those dudes and they were just nice off of the bat. Really cool, to the point where I even had a quote-unquote meeting with Heron, sat down with him, met some of his friends, got taken around places and stuff. The same thing happened with Virgil. Obviously, that was more of a work thing. But these are things that you don't really get from people that work in fashion, because unless you're somebody prominent, unless you got a big amount of followers, unless you got your own thing going on, unless you want to suck their dick and be their intern, they're not really going to give you the time of day. So when these guys are nice to you, it usually is a sign that they are nice people. So sometimes nice people in fashion don't win, right? Unfortunately, they don't really win. So it's nice to see the nice guys actually get an opportunity. And also, with me being the flipping fan and the lover of streetwear that I am, it's just nice to see another guy from the school of streetwear graduating and getting these amazing positions. It just goes to show that there is really no limit. You could go from designing, you know, t-shirts, screen printing, you know, bootleg Givenchy shirts. You could go from flipping cutting up flipping Gucci material into stars and putting it on the side of Air Force Ones. You could go from making brick paperweight things. You could go from all those type of things that he made over the years, and then suddenly you're flipping designing on the level of H&M. For the masses. You go from making little niche art books of your friends, like these little yearbook things that you made back in the day, and then suddenly now, many years after it, you're doing, you know, Audemars flipping collaborations. You're doing collaborations with Uggs. You got collaborations with Nike. You're doing this with H&M. There really is no limit when it comes to streetwear. There really is a limit. The limit that you have is only your own imaginations. There's no need to go to fashion school. There's no need to fucking suck the dick of the fashion elites over there who don't even want you. Because the funny thing is, once you make it in streetwear and you're the super popular person, those fashion people that probably don't want you and look down on you will have to come and kiss the ring anyway. Because this is where the culture's at. This is where the flipping vibes are at. The you know, everything is at here. You know, the music, the fashion, you know, it's all over here. So it's cool to see Heron get the opportunity, and I can't wait to see what he does when he finally does put out the stuff, because it's a pretty interesting collaboration overall. And I think one of the main things that kind of stood out to me that I thought was really on point was this bit here where it said what they tapped him to do, right? And I think it was somewhere here. There we go. So they have a clear idea what they want from the guy. And I think this is part of the reason why I think this collaboration is going to work out, because I think there's some clear, what do you call them in fucking marketing? Is it deliverables or something, right? Something along those kind of lines that they've kind of outlined. So he knows exactly what they want. He knows exactly what his remit is, and they're just going to, you know, tell him, go crazy. And that's what I like, because it says here, they are, they say Preston will have a wide-ranging reign over H&M's menswear offerings, overseeing 4 pillars: design advisory, which will see him consult on the brand's mainline menswear; special collections designed specifically by Preston; talent curation, intended to allow Preston to connect creatives in his network for additional collaboration with H&M; and fashion innovation, which will include projects such as circulatory initiatives in which consumers can submit their old clothing for use in future capsules, collection designed by Preston. That is clear, black and white, what they want from you. Then all you do, you meet those targets, you exceed those targets, Bob's your uncle, Granny's your aunt, the sales are up, bang, here's a contract extension, more money in the bank, more G-Wagons for you, more fucking fancy trips with your wife around the world. Like, everybody wins. Everybody fucking wins. And the great thing I love about it also is the fact that they realized that part of the reason why they can flip and tap into him is, like, he's always been known as like Mr. Popular guy, right? The cool guy that has all the cool friends. And they want to tap into that also. They want to be a part of his network. They want to bring Heron's network into H&M, or they want to bring H&M down to Heron's network. They want to kind of bridge that gap, because they never really saw themselves as cool. They want to be able to sell loads of stuff, but also be cool. Because nowadays, people are doing that. These kids now are doing hauls on TikTok where they are proudly showing off the shit they bought at Boohoo, they bought at fucking Fashion Nova, they bought at Shein. So fast fashion doesn't have the stigma that it once had when I was growing up, where if you wore that sort of stuff and you were into fashion that like I am, or you're into streetwear, people looked at you a bit, people looked down on you. If you had on like, you know, H&M jeans, but you had like a Supreme t-shirt and shit, they're like, nah man, you should be going and getting neighborhood jeans, number 9 jeans, triple R, you know, RRL jeans, what Evisus, you should be getting those. But nowadays kids are, you know, willingly wearing head to toe H&M, but then, you know, 700-pound dunks and stuff. So I think they know that, and they're trying to bridge that gap and make sure that the kids that are queuing up at these shops are still going to go and buy the stuff that they're going to make because it's going to be cool. So I can see some really cool stuff happening going forward with that. So big up Heron for that. Let's quickly check his Instagram and see what he's saying about it. Look at this fucking picture, bro. Like, honestly, streetwear pays, isn't it? There was an era where, like, you know, back in the day, maybe that Nick Diamond guy was maybe the most outwardly rich looking streetwear guy that exists, but now you got all these guys like that sell fucking t-shirts and hoodies wearing fucking APs. It's fucking cool, isn't it? It really is cool, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, I think this might be the post announcing it. It's a pretty interesting pose there, sat on a cube, on a mirrored cube with this really interesting pose. He kind of looks like a swastika, innit, a little bit. If you put his hands up, you look like a bit of a swastika, innit, if you put his hands up like that. But big up HP for that pose. The caption says, what's next? Let's call it brain over brand. It's bigger than product, a new concept for a better future, an entirely new ecosystem, for me, for us, for the culture, for the world. More soon. Love to see that, man. So yeah, can't wait to see what he does. I think we're going to get a lot of cool shit from him coming out of flipping H&M. Loads of cool ways to kind of present your ideas on that kind of grand scale. I can't wait to see what he puts out there, because again, once you get those type of keys, right, to that kind of factory or to that type of processes and manufacturing, you have to take advantage of it. So I can't wait to see what he ends up doing with that going forward. It's going to be pretty interesting, I'm not going to lie. So big things are going for flipping Heron Preston out there. Let's see what are going for it. It's going to be cool. It's going to be inspiring. Everyone's going to be on it. And I think lessons definitely have been learned from Tremaine's, you know, diabolical experience at Supreme. And I think he's going to appreciate it and work with it well. But also, like I said, I think just because he's had a, you know, a job within those fields before, he's worked within those type of constraints, he's had that kind of oversight, I think he's going to be fine, to be completely honest. I think he's going to be more than fine going forward. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it when that does end up dropping. And then I think I've got another last thing to talk about here about Heron, is considering this via Wallpaper magazine, which is called Heron Preston launches L.E.D, a studio and convention defying creative hub. It says as follows. I guess that's what we saw earlier, this kind of repurposed cardboard thing that's been turned into some sort of desk and stuff. Let's see what the blurb says. Heron Preston might be known for his eponymous New York City inspired label, but his creative enterprises go way beyond that. No stranger to collaboration, Preston has launched L.E.D Studio, which stands for Less Environmentally Destructive, a creative studio celebrating an in-now creative freedom that intentionally eschews conventions and restrictions in order to understand where contemporary culture is today and where it needs to go. You know what I kind of clocked? I think he's basically doing the same. He's kind of doing like a Tom Sachs, isn't it? He's kind of following that kind of template a little bit, but more with a fashion tilt. It feels like there's like there's like design studios, there's these collaborations, right? Yeah, he's kind of attacking things on all these time of different planes, but it's kind of feeling very, 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 very Tom Sachs-ish. I like it. I like it because I always thought if I ever had my brand, it would kind of operate in that same type of way, where it kind of is more of a design studio, and then you may have different pieces that you design that may be clothing, it may be furniture, it may be art installations, it may be experiences, it may be spaces, it may be, you know, print, whatever it may be, but it's mostly a design studio. You kind of think of it that way, and then you approach every problem like a design problem, and then you're able to kind of maybe approach it from more interesting angles and whatnot, and come up with more interesting ideas. That's a good way to look at it, instead of kind of being fashiony, because the fashion angle, you know, you kind of have to have that brain. You kind of have to have that Alexander McQueen, JW Anderson brain of actually thinking on that heady fashion level, which not all of us have. So I think the design thing is probably a little bit easier to kind of get in that way and kind of figure something out. You know what I mean? It continues. Creatively, he has the power to change the world. It's the greatest rebellion in existence, Preston states. I believe in meaningful disruption and creating with purpose. The concept sustainability has become diluted. I believe more honest term is less environmentally destructive. I love how everyone does this, right? You hate the term that exists, so you create another term. Then somebody else comes and says, I don't like less environment destructive, so I'm going to make another term. I'm going to call it destructive environment, DE. And then someone else comes. It's like a continue. Everyone wants their own little phrase, but again, it's a worthy cause, so I'm with it. I love the logo also, to be fair. It's very, very, it's giving, Munich based record label. I love that. It continues. Part art and design studio, part sustainability practice. L.E.D studio introduces a new ecosystem from designer that encompasses a clothing recycling and donation program called Excess, a social community called World, and a retail shop to sell ideas, a YouTube channel to host content, and even a scholarship program titled HP L.E.D Initiative. Nah, that's pretty sick, man, to be fair. Virgil will be proud of this, man. Heron is walking the walk. He's talking the talk and he's walking the walk. It continues. Initiative to help diversify. Sorry, I listened to too much Tremaine. Initiative to help diversify representation in the fashion industry. Preston is also introducing Service Center, a creative agency working across ideation to execution for clients, bringing his relatable, disruptive viewpoint to a wider range of collaborators. Before Preston launched his fashion label in 2016, he opened but you get it. So yeah, cool little thing going on the heels of the fucking, or just before the H&M collaboration got announced. So he's got many things in the fire at the same time. Big up HP. Big up HP. How to see where it goes. Big up the chat. Big up my guy Rodeo Brito. Good to see you, brother. Big up Brandon. Big up Coiler, Sarlux, Prod by, sorry, in the chat. All of you in there. Thank you for joining me. I do appreciate every single one of you. Moving on deep. So I was thinking today, or the other day, when I was kind of, marinating on, digesting, and sort of meditating on everything that happened with Tremaine Emery at Supreme, having to step down because he felt like, the company was, or the brand was systemically racist, and they weren't allowing him to, to put his ideas out there, unfiltered and, without constraints. I was thinking to myself, should there be such a thing as DJ affirmative action? Should there be such a thing as DJ affirmative action, where you specifically have these clubs in London or in the UK or in the world, right, that are a little bit of a closed shop, that don't really welcome people in unless you have a big record or you're a big DJ and stuff, where it's pretty difficult, right? I always say it before. I think DJing is maybe one of the hardest occupations to make it in because there's no one clear path. And for whatever reason, DJs are also very, it's a kind of a very closed, cliquey kind of industry. Once you're in, I'm sure everybody opens up, but on the outside, they don't really bring people in. There's not a lot of DJs kind of, mentoring up and coming DJs and bringing them in, unless you're obviously signed to a record label. There's not a lot of agencies taking chances on people that are unknown. It's all a lot of like, you have to kind of just build your own clout, build your own kind of name, build your own rep, and then hope that someone recognizes you, or then go and pitch people to represent you or to put you on and stuff. It's a lot of kind of like you having to do a lot of the grunt work to kind of get yourself out there. There doesn't exist the opportunity to kind of maybe in the past where you could go and do DJ residencies and sort of like learn in real time in a club how to play in front of a certain audience or just play in front of any audience. Then maybe those chances, opportunity gives you opportunity to play in front of certain people. Those people sign you. Nah, there is none of that. DJ residencies for the most part don't really exist. Most nightclubs have, external promoters coming in and putting on their events, or they host some of the biggest DJs to come and play, and then they maybe have some middle DJs to come and support them. But there is no, fucking residency programs that allow people that are unknown from bedrooms to go from bedrooms to clubs. So, with that being said, it's even harder for people who come from minority communities like I do. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be a Tremaine for minorities like myself, right? For minorities like myself, for immigrants like myself, for refugees like myself, for displaced, disadvantaged, poverty-stricken people like myself, it's even harder to get in, right? Because, you know, I come from a certain place. I've grown up a certain way. That idea of like sucking people off and breading them to get opportunities, it's never going to happen. I'm never going to email anybody to ask for DJ sets or to ask for gigs. It's just not something that I'm ever going to do. I'm never going to try and befriend a club owner to be his friend so that they can give, like, it's never going to happen. I'm never going to be that guy. And that's probably going to be one of the stumbling blocks that I'm always going to face. But I would hope there's opportunity that I have the chance to kind of just like, you know, just show how good I am. And then people recognize that and it goes from there. But doing what other people do that actually works, where you go and meet people and you connect and you network and you do the whole shaking hand things and you pretend that you're happy to see them. Nah, I can't do that. So, I can't do that. But there is a need for more representation out there in the DJ world. Let's be honest, right? There's a lot of, you know, the same old out there. You don't see a lot of me behind the DJ booth playing some of these sort of tunes that you hear from these other people playing, right? I'm not going to get there and play Afro beats, right? I'm going to be playing techno and stuff, so don't worry. But I wonder if a way to get in is to do DJ affirmative action. And I wonder if what I should do is maybe do a Tremaine. Maybe do a Tremaine with Fold, right? My favorite club in the world, or my favorite club in the UK, a club that I've been to since the very first time it opened, right? I went to the first flipping party at this place, I think 2018, one of the first raves in there. I raved about it. I spoke about it in the pod. I flipping preached about it to everybody that I fucking met. Anybody that asked me, hey, what club to go to? I say, Fold. I fucking love that place. I've been to that place too much, to the point where I'm fucking bored of going there now. I don't want to go there anymore because I go there too often. I want to kind of adventure out to new places, but I'd also like to play there one day. It's a fucking fantastic club. It's got a great crowd. But then I thought to myself, you know what? Instead of doing the grunt work and working hard behind the scenes and going to meet all these new people during the unfolds and actually trying to be a part of the community, not just going in there and going home. Nah, I don't want to do all that hard work. I don't want to break my back. I don't want to make myself feel uncomfortable. So I'm just going to wave the race flag. I'm going to play the race card. And I'm going to say, maybe we should start introducing DJ affirmative action so people like myself can play at these techno clubs in London that don't have enough black and minority DJs, especially guys. Because there's a lot of people out there doing these, you know, representation for others, but there's not a lot of representation for minority guys in the techno scene. You don't see it. Don't lie, you don't see it. So maybe I'm going to start waving the race flag and saying I'm black and I'm proud, right? Let me in, because I just checked the Fold website actually, right? And their resident DJs are hella white. So I wonder if I kicked up a fuss about this, right? If this actually did annoy me and I started to do the whole race thing, I'm black and I deserve stuff, give me stuff, right? I wonder if it would actually work. If they'd make some big statement, right? And they'd be like, yeah, we are sorry for the effects that we've had on the black community. We're going to do better to kind of make this right. In an effort to make it right, we're going to give this Agostinho guy that we don't know, we've never heard play, right? We're going to give him the reins to have a 6-month residency at our club. I wonder if I could do it. Because essentially, Tremaine got that job at Supreme. Like, think about this now. Think about this, right? Tremaine got that job at Supreme partly because he's black. Let's call a spade a spade. He partly got that job because he's black. Obviously, he's got his own brand. Then until the sick, he's obviously a super popular guy, well connected. He's known lots of people behind the scenes from way back. I know his history is deep, but part of the reason why he got that job because he ticked a box, right? Black, got the dreads, has that kind of boho, homeless look going on. Where's all the cool brands? Right? It's friends with certain people. Blah 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 blah. Virgil's mate. Blah blah blah. Right? That's why part of the reason why he got that job. So I wonder if I just start waving the fucking black flag and start saying I'm black and I'm proud. Give me things. I need things. I'm hungry. Please fold DJ bookings. Because everybody you got on here who's a resident DJ at one of the most, and again, this is a funny point to make. Fold is one of the most popular clubs in London. Maybe one of the most popular clubs in the UK now, in that short space of time. Because for whatever reason, before them, no one ever decided to think, hey, why don't I take the good parts of all these other clubs around Europe and try and replicate them in Fold? Because earlier on when Fold started, they were very Berghain-ish. They were trying too hard to be Berghain. Then they found their way. But essentially what they did was take all the good parts, all the good experiences they've had from all these other clubs they've gone to, especially in Europe, and try to replicate it in a London club. No one's ever tried that. We just do things our way and that's it. But no one tried to do a club in London where you put stickers on the phone, no pictures. No one tried to do a club in London where you maybe have forward-thinking bookings. You maybe take a chance on promoters. You might have an Unfold night where it's like from 12 to 12 where you have like friends and family playing. No lineups being announced. Where you have studios like inside the same building and stuff. Like where you have like all night, 18-hour flipping raves happening because it's in a part of London where there's not a lot of restrictions and the licensing laws are a bit more lax than other parts of London. No one tried to do that. So they did it and they smashed it. And everyone fucking loves it. But it's also the most popular club in London. And it has all types of people go there. You look at the dance floor and it's like fucking the United Colours of Benetton. But for some reason, the resident DJs, right? The resident DJs at this club are all very Caucasian looking. I'm sure some of these people are going to say, I'm not white, I'm from Israel. I'm not white, I'm from Georgia. I'm not white, I'm Romanian. I know, right? But they're all, they're not my skin tone, right? That's kind of funny. I just find that funny, just in terms of an observation. Now, should I take that a level further and start campaigning? Should I walk up to the fucking Fold on a Friday with my fucking New Rock boots and my short shorts, right? And my little jockstrap on with a sign that says black DJ bookings needed or something. Maybe that's what I should do going forward. Maybe the way to go forward actually is affirmative action. But to be real, there has to be a level of shame about that sort of stuff, innit? Because I know I would feel a little bit of shame. But I think in life, what I've realized over the years, part of being successful is not having any shame. It's kind of like a sociopath thing. If you have the ability to not be embarrassed and not feel shame, you will get so far in life. Because think of this. To actually be a part of that resident DJ roster at Fold, what do you actually have to do? If you really want to be a part of it and not wave the race flag, what would you have to do there? Just be a part of the community. What does being a part of the community entail? Going to loads of events, meeting people that play there, meeting people that go there, adding them on Instagram, swapping numbers, dancing with them, hanging out with them, maybe going to their own events, maybe booking them at your events, maybe introducing yourself to the owners, whatever it may be. All those things is what would actually get you into that crew. But all of that stuff requires you to put your ego, pride, shame, whatever all that thing in you have to put it to one side because you're going to have some odd experiences here and there. Not all your interactions are going to go well. Some interactions, some people just might not like you. Some of them, the vibe might be off. Some of them, you might catch them at a wrong time. Some of them, you might do something wrong. Whatever. They're going to be weird interactions. So you're going to have just to kind of be able to just suck them all up and go again. So that's actually the real trick of it. The real trick of this stuff, especially in this kind of creative space where there is no one way to go from top to bottom. You just have to have no shame, no sense of embarrassment. And you really, really have to want it. Because when you really want it, you're gonna make all those adjustments because it's not big of it. They're not that big of a deal. Think about it. It's not that big of a deal. You have to introduce yourself. You have to say hi. You have to shake some hands, kiss some babies and shit. It's not that big of a deal. But at this stage of my life, I'm just not willing to do that. I'm not willing to like pretend I'm happy to see you when I'm not. Or when if I don't actually care. Try and like make small talk and shit. It already went bad for me the other day when I went to Adonis. I tried to fucking do the whole ha ha he he. It didn't work, right? I landed like a fucking lead balloon out there. It fucking feels awful to be in a place where, you know, you're surrounded by people that are just raving and having a good time, but then they're also kind of like letting you know, nah, we're not feeling you. You're kind of lame. You're not as cool enough as we are. And you're like, hold on. This is just a party. Why do you feel a level of superiority to me when we're just both stomping around the same fucking concrete? It's kind of puzzling, but it kind of is what it is. So that's the actual key of it. The actual key to actual making it in any creative space is just to put aside whatever pride, whatever ego you have, whatever entitlement, and actually integrate yourself in that community. Actually make an effort to make some friends. Or if not, maybe create your own little crew of things. But that whole affirmative action thing and wanting to get in with your race to get through the door, I think is the most grossest, lamest, corniest, low vibrations thing you could ever do. Because I do understand the idea around just get your foot in the door, but I would be so ashamed. I'd be so embarrassed. And, you know, the opposite of proud if I got in that way. It wouldn't sit right. You know, if that's the way you got in. If you got in because you guilt tripped, right? Or you emotionally, or in this case, racially blackmailed the owners, right? into giving you a spot, it wouldn't sit right. It wouldn't sit right. It just wouldn't. You'd be like, you didn't earn this. You just did it because they felt sorry for you because you happen to be born the color that you are. You didn't choose to be born this race. Here you are now taking advantage of the plight of people that you don't even know. You've not experienced anything that they experienced, and now you're taking their trauma and you're using it as a fucking Trojan horse to get fucking DJ bookings. Do you know how lame that is? To get a job working at a streetwear company. Do you know how lame that is? That's what I thought when I was thinking about the Tremaine Emery thing. Imagine you use your race to get the job, and then you use the race to kind of, you know, what's that word called? To kind of moral grandstand on the people that gave you the job, and then they tell you to fuck off. Imagine how embarrassing that is. They give you the job because of your race. They kind of indulge you because of it. Instead of using it as opportunity to kind of, you know, because that's why I think the Tremaine thing is really sad, because he kind of just looked out for himself. He went in there because of his race, because he's cool. But if you go in there and you think it's too white, then go and hire new people to come in and make it a little bit more, you know, make it a little bit more wagwan, whatever you want to make it. Yeah, I mean, do your thing. But instead, he was looking out for his own self. He wanted to get his own ideas out there and get all the credit. And in the process, you know, creative differences and the opportunity to try and bring in new people completely went. So for me, as tempting as it is to wave the affirmative action flag and to campaign and protest outside a fold and say, I deserve a set, I deserve a booking here because I'm black, I'm not going to do it. Okay? Don't be afraid. I'm not going to start campaigning. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say hashtag fold so white on Instagram or anything. All right? I'm just going to, it's just an observation. The resident DJs are kind of Caucasian. It is what it is. But if you want to get into this crew, it's not difficult. You know, like you just make an effort. You put out things, you try and become friends with people, and they'll probably let you in. But the whole waving of the affirmative action flag, I'm black, give me job, I'm black, give me job, and then you get in there and you're fucking shit anyway, what's the fucking point? Then that's the thing people don't talk about. You get in there because you're black, which is cool, but then if you're shit, you ruin it for everybody else that's black behind you. That's the fucked up thing. Everybody black, brown, and fucking Asian, you fucking ruin it for all them behind you. So it's actually a lot of responsibility when you take a job under the flag of, I'm the BLM creative officer of this company. That's actually way more pressure than you need. You should actually come in there with only the pressure of your own talent, the pressure of how you do things. And then if you fail, cool. you didn't like the, if I'm known for fucking florals and I go in there and I try and slap all my fucking floral all over prints everywhere, what they do, and then they don't like it, cool. I can just say they're not feeling my florals. But I can't go in there, with the whole black and I'm proud thing and I try and do a Top Boy t-shirt and shit. It doesn't land. And I've got nothing else. You know what I mean? Nah, man. I can't do that, man. I can't do that to myself. I wouldn't sleep well at night. As tempting as it is, because I'm sure it would work. I'm sure it would. But I can't do that fold thing. I love the club too much to do that to them, to be fair. They provided me with so many good nights, so many fucking memorable DJ sets. I think of DVS one I saw there. I think of fucking Richie Horton I saw there. I think of D-Dan I saw there. I think of, Freddie K. All these amazing people I've seen play at fucking Fold. They gave me so many great nights. I can't ever, then now to turn around and try and do affirmative action on them and get them cancelled because they won't book me for a fucking set. That would be so heinous, man. But yeah, just imagine. Oh, fucking love it. It'd be so funny. Oh my God. Imagine Fold So White. That would be so funny, man. Imagine Fold So White. I just rock up there with my headphones in my JD bag. Oh, right on brand. But anyway, what can I do, man? Let's move on, man. I don't want to cause anyone any problems. You know what I mean? No problems be causing over here. So, moving on from that, quickly want to talk about this, considering we want to talk about club stuff. So, it's now been confirmed from a few people. Again, it's not confirmed, but by people that went, it's kind of confirmed that Berghain has now raised their prices to 30 euros as an entry. I think before it may have been 25, if I'm not mistaken. And before that, it may have been 22 euros. So now it's 25 euros entry. And I think the €5 re-entry, the €5 re-entry still stands, right? Which is annoying. Don't get me wrong. But it also illustrates how spoiled Berliners are in general. They are spoiled, because I'm thinking of myself, right? How often London clubs charge £30 and up for tickets. And it's all the time. If you buy them in advance, most clubs charge you around, anywhere between 20 and 30. But for the most part, I'd say £30 is probably the average you're going to pay for most places, especially when you include the first drink that you get or the cloakroom, right? You're instantly going to be £30 anyway. But in Berlin, they've had things so good over the years, and a big club like Berghain has still tried to keep their prices somewhat fair, that now that they've taken it up from 25 euros to 30, people are freaking out, literally freaking out. And I can understand why, because I think the first times I used to go to Berghain, the first few times, I remember it was around 22. And I remember when I first went, I didn't know what the price was. So I just went in and handed the guy some money. And I remember getting change back. I think it was a 50. I was like, oh shit, I got change, right? And then when I got the change back, I was like, oh, that's funny, isn't it? A club this big has got the ability to kind of charge this price. Is fucking amazing. But then when I usually go, whatever money I give to the person at the ticket hall and I get change, I just leave that as a tip. And I've got obviously other bits of coins with me to give to people for the cloakroom. But it was always the idea, whenever I went there, whatever the price was, if it was 22, I gave them 30, they could keep the tip. That was always what I did. So I kind of always saw it as that price that they were charging at that time was super good. And it was actually something that I was more than happy to pay for. And actually, I'll give them a tip on top. So the €30 price now is no real different to what I was already giving them with the tip included. Now, obviously, it's going to be another tip on top. But I still think in terms of bang for buck, considering the club is open Friday all night, Saturday all the way to fucking Monday morning, and they have consistently booked the biggest DJs in the world, and some great up-and-coming people for €30. It's a pretty good deal. And people don't tell you this, but the drink prices in Berghain are also pretty decent. You can get cocktails in there, sometimes for under €10. They have a cool little ice cream bar. You can buy sandwiches. There's a nice little Spatkov little guy that sells like beers just outside the club if you don't want to pay for drinks in there because allow re-entry. Again, this is something that does happen in London. London clubs, unless you go to Fold and they've got an 18-hour thing, or you go to other clubs, there's no such thing as re-entry. Once you're in, you're in. That's it. But Berghain allows you the opportunity to actually go out and have a drink, go have some food, sleep, have a wank. Whatever you want to do, you can go do and come back again. So I think that ability to do that for 30 euros or 35 if you include the re-entry fee is more than decent. It really is. But I think for whatever reason, Berliners have this idea that price was going to stay the same. But it makes a lot of sense because I remember going out there maybe third or fourth time ever, and then I got around like some people that actually live there, quote unquote, right? Or maybe that are from there and stuff. And it's interesting to be around actual Berliners who club because they're kind of tight. They don't like spending money on booze. They don't like spending money on drugs. They don't like spending money to go into clubs. They really operate on a tight budget. They want to have the most amount of fun, spending the least amount of money, which to me is odd because when I go out, I kind of go out knowing I'm going to spend the money, so I'll save some money before I go out. But I also know that Berlin compared to London is incredibly cheap. So I'm happy to buy all my drinks in the club because I'm not having to pay a tenner for a beer. In London, honestly, I went to fucking, 60 Dock Road the other day, Adonis, and I swear to God, they had pints. They were serving you like Stellas and shit in a tin. The same things that you buy in Sainsbury's for like, £10 and shit. Mixers, the same sort of price. So you can't really like go too crazy now. You're going to spend like £500 on drinks. It's not even worth it. So for the most part, when I'm going there to Berghain, you're spending €5 on a beer or you're spending €3 on a cocktail. I'm okay to not pre-drink. I'm okay to not pre-game. I'm just going to go in there and drink. But Berliners don't do that. They would rather spend, €1 buying a drink from the local, from the local shops and shit, the little spetties or spatkovs, however you fucking pronounce them, which is a really interesting approach to raving. They've got the best infrastructure there, right, in Berlin, because they have a local government there that actually supports clubs. They've got local initiatives and stuff that basically gives the clubs abilities to basically improve their sound installation. And they have these, things that they sit down with local neighbors and stuff to make sure that they're on the same page. Like, there's a really good approach to how they kind of respect and look at clubs. They kind of look at it as a integral part of their infrastructure, an integral part of their money-making ability and shit. Like, they respect club culture over there. So for the most part, people take clubbing very seriously. And it starts at the door. They have door pickers that take their job seriously. Like they're going, I spoke about it already on the podcast, but some clubs even hire very popular TikTok techno girls to stand at the door at the clubs and stuff and whatever it may be, to bring a crowd down, to be well known because they're very stern and they get it, whatever. It's a whole culture around door picking. That's not even security. It's actually a thing that they do, a door picker. They have a very particular way that they book the flipping DJs, the sound. They have, particular sound engineers that kind of spec up the flipping speakers inside the club. They have lighting people. They take it very seriously. It's a very serious thing. So you would imagine these people that take it seriously would also be open to having some fun, spending some money, chilling out, having a good time. Nah, for them, spending €30 in a club is too much, especially for a club like Berghain, which is insane. But what this might do, it might open up Berlin to other places. It might open up Berlin for more people. No, it might open up the club space overall. Because I do think, especially for people like myself who are foreigners, there isn't too much emphasis put on Berghain. Because Berlin, I think, is still one of the best clubbing cities in the world because of the amount of clubs you can go to. But I think some of them get overlooked because Berghain gets all the attention. So maybe a good thing about this whole price hike might be that some people might think, you know what, it's too much money for me, so I'd rather go and check out other places now. So maybe places like RSO, places like Oxy, places like Aden, Watergate, all these other clubs that are amazing in Berlin might start getting a lot more attention and a lot more foot traffic because punters want a lot more bang for their buck. That might be a thing going forward. And then that also might have a good effect on the Berghain dance floor, because then it might mean there'll be less, tourists coming in, and it might kind of level out where it's like a bit more half and half. Because I'm a tourist when I go there, but there definitely is a difference when you go to Berghain on an off night and it's like 50-50. Locals and fucking tourists. It's a nicer vibe. When it's all tourists or when it's all locals, like like a majority, the vibe is a bit off. But when there is some sort of parity, some sort of leveling, it's a bit better. So maybe with that price hike, people will start exploring other places, and it will kind of level out the playing field and make the vibe a little bit better out there in Berghain, because people are complaining now about their drinks getting spiked and stuff, and they're passing out, which to me is fucking wild. I still think people, for the most part, especially ones crying and complaining online, I think a lot of you guys and girls need to grow up and take responsibility for yourself, because I think a lot of people, for some reason, they read all these articles and they see all these videos about fucking Berghain. They go there and they legitimately treat it like that space is going to take care of you. Yes, it's a good space. Yes, they do a good job at door picking. Yes, it's very strict to get in, so by default, people are going to be well behaved and they're going to act right. It's going to create a better atmosphere in there and all that blah blah blah. But it's still a fucking nightclub. It's still a nightclub at night with sketchy people. You have to look after yourself. You can't just be, leaving your drink on the side, going wandering, talking there, going there, doing a bump over there, coming back over there, and expecting everything to be cool. You have to take responsibility for yourself and look after yourself. You can't put that responsibility on a club and then get annoyed when the bouncers don't react to you fainting or falling over and don't want to help you, or get annoyed that you're fainting and falling over all over the place, because you're essentially ruining the mood and you are not looking after yourself, which is then going to put the club in a position, because if you get injured in there, it's going to fall back on them. So there's a lot of lack of personal responsibility going on there. There's a lot of Berghain, take me, look after me, Berghain sort of attitude going on, which is a little bit pathetic from people that are way too old to act like that, in my personal opinion. So maybe with the price hike, a lot of the babies, a lot of the people complaining, a lot of the nitpickers, a lot of the chin strokers will fuck off, and then it'll be leveled out to all the cool people who know how to act, who know how to behave, who know not to get too drunk in the queue, who know not to get too high, who can take the experience as it is, who can go in there and just drink fucking orange juice and have a good time, and it's not always fucking Project X every day. Those people you need in there, because they actually add to the atmosphere. You could, especially when you go to Panorama Bar, the room upstairs, which is all the house stuff. Usually there's a good mix of people in there who are stone cold sober, just dancing and having a good time, and it adds to the ambiance. Not everybody has to be fucking twitching and super high for it to be good. Sometimes it can be chill. But when everybody's all like, this is Project X, this is gonna be the best night of my life, and tonight's gonna be a good time, that's when everybody's shit, because you're all too hype. You're too turned up, and there's no way this club's gonna match your level of turn up unless you fucking force it, and people do force it. And then some guy comes along with a fucking ponytail and does that on your drink, and then you wake up and you're in fucking Dusseldorf. You have to relax. You have to relax. Everybody has to relax. But hey, what do I know? And then I was thinking about it, right? I was thinking about it. And these motherfuckers don't know what it's like to rave in London. Because look at this. I found this screenshot. Look at this screenshot I found of a night that I went out in Fold. I went out to fucking Fold, right? One time. And look at what I paid to go to Fold. $49.50, bro. Man found a screenshot, right, from my fucking Twitter where I paid $49.50 to go to Fold. Not Berghain. Not fucking the school, not even DC-10, right? None of these illustrious places around the world. It's some of the most expensive cities in the world. No, just regular old Fold in Canning Town, 750 capacity or 500 capacity, whatever it may be called, to see who? And Tricks play all night long. And I played £45 plus $4.50 fucking booking fee. And it was only on until what? 9, maybe 11 to 6 a.m. one night, all the way to the morning, right? None of it going on for 2 days and shit, none of that stuff. And I paid $49.50 plus my Uber, right? Plus my snacks. Imagine. So all you guys out there complaining about 30 euro price hike at Berghain when you're going to be there from Saturday night to Monday morning, please shut the fuck up. Because you don't know how good you have it. You get rejected from Berghain. Oh no, they rejected me. I can't get in. They don't think I'm cool enough. Boo-hoo. There's a million clubs within a 5-mile radius you can go to that are 10 times better than Fold. A million. Maybe thousands, maybe hundreds, but still, within a 5-mile radius of that fucking club, you could go to any club in there that's better than fucking Fold. I don't think, this is what I was going to say before we end it. I don't think we have a single club in London that's as interesting. Again, maybe not music-wise, but that's as interesting of a space as like Sisyphos. And Sisyphos in Berlin, for the most part, people that like techno and whatnot and house, it's like a little bit, you know, people look at it like it's a little bit lame because the people that go there, the music policy is a little bit, you know, tech housey and deep house and minimal, and people don't really like that sort of shit. It's not the most trendy type of music. But Sisyphos is still one of the most amazing clubs to go into because it's like a labyrinth. There's all these little rooms everywhere, all these little nooks and crannies and shit, right? There's all these little spaces you can go into. This room you can't go into unless somebody walks out. This one's full of mirrors. This one's there. There's all these little cool rooms and shit. It's really cool. It's kind of like this little hippie commune circus type of thing. There's not one club in London that's as good as that place, and that is the worst place they've got. Or even Matrix Bar. I don't even think Fabric is better than Matrix Bar. I'm going to say that as a club. Looking wise, I don't think Fabric looks better than Matrix. And Matrix is like the bottom of the bottom. So all these motherfuckers crying and complaining in Berlin, you don't know how good you guys have it. You don't know how good you have it, man. Really don't know. I swear on my life you don't know. Because if only you knew, you would not be crying like this. I swear to God you wouldn't be crying like this. You'd just be like, you know what? I understand. I see. And you'd go from there. But hey, you know, what do I know? What do I know? Let's move on. So I want to talk about this quickly. Where is it? There we go. No. Oh, let's talk about this. Yeah. So, as most of you guys know, United played Arsenal over the weekend. It was a decent performance from us, I think, away from home. I don't think we actually played that badly, but unfortunately, we still lost 3-1. And the performance has kind of been looked over now because of all the drama around the club. But I think we played quite decently. And I think one of the bright sparks to come out of that game was definitely Rasmus Højlund playing for United. He came on, you know, as a sub up front. And we saw what he could offer because it's been a long time since we've had a striker up front who can hold the ball up, who can bring players in, who can run the channels, who can, you know, battle with defenders and shit. Like, he gave Gabriel a good game when he came on. He also looks a lot bigger when he was standing next to Gabriel, because Gabriel, the Arsenal defender, is like 6'3", and Rasmus Højlund was like same height as the guy, so you could tell he's an absolute unit. He's fast, he's strong, he's left-footed. He's got a good first touch. He can dribble. He can clearly shoot, even though he had the ability to kind of, you know, yeah, he's got the ingredients to be an absolute beast. He's only like 20 years old, so that was encouraging signs. But unfortunately, we still lost 3-1. So all the backlash from it has mostly stemmed from the conversation around Erik ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. The manager, Erik ten Hag, had some very interesting words to say about Jadon Sancho after the game. One of the journalists basically asked ten Hag, "Hey, why didn't Jadon Sancho play?" or something along those kind of lines. And Erik ten Hag is usually kind of vague when it comes to talking about players who haven't been selected about the team, and maybe skips over the question and shit. But he decided to say, we didn't pick him because he wasn't training well, essentially. Which nowadays, you can't really say to professional footballers, because if you say a professional footballer isn't training well, you're essentially calling into question their entire professionalism as a footballer. That's what you're basically calling into question. And if a player doesn't feel like that's a good or accurate representation of themselves, they're going to defend themselves. Now, we didn't expect Jadon Sancho to defend himself so quickly. He then responded instantly to what Erik ten Hag said in the press conference by releasing a statement on Twitter and Instagram, I'm assuming other places. And he said the following: "Please don't believe everything you read. I will not allow people saying things that is completely untrue. I have conducted myself in training very well this week. I believe that there are other reasons for this matter that I won't go into. I've been a scapegoat for a long time, which isn't fair. All I wanted to do was play football with a smile on my face and contribute to my team. I respect all decisions that are made by the coaching staff. I play with fantastic players and I'm grateful to do so, which I know every week is a challenge. I will continue to fight for this badge no matter what. Now, for whatever reason in the UK or in football in general, it's not really a thing for players to speak up for themselves, which is kind of odd because in America, you guys have a very open dialogue thing, right? Footballers, American footballers, basketballers, baseballers, whatever, all these guys have the opportunity to speak up for themselves. They do it on their own platforms, they do it on podcasts, whatever. They speak their mind. At press conferences, they speak their mind. But in football, it's not a thing. In football, everyone kind of is very proper. They're very well mannered. They kind of have these cliches they kind of trot out. They're like robots. They don't really have a personality when they're speaking to the media or speaking for themselves. There's nothing really there. So when a player like Jadon Sancho comes out and says, hey, I'm cap on whatever the manager said, like I've been training well, I'm fine, don't believe what you read, essentially calling the manager a liar, it's a big deal in the UK. It's a fucking big deal. It shouldn't be a big deal if you think about it, because essentially this just means these are two people disagreeing on this situation. Because on Erik ten Hag's side of things, he's saying, I'm the manager and I don't think you're training well. This is why you're not playing. In Jadon Sancho's side of things, he's like, no, I am training well. You're not picking me for other reasons. And for me, the other reasons is the thing that really stuck out to me in this statement. I was like, what could he be talking about? Other reasons. At first I thought, oh, it's just a standard player thing where you don't want to take accountability or responsibility for your actions and what the consequences are. You always kind of want to blame somebody else. You've got an ego, blah, blah, blah. The easy conclusions to come to. But then I sat with it a bit more and I thought to myself, I wonder if this has to do with the favoritism and the weird culture around our club overall since the Glazers have been in charge. The Glazers have fucking ruined our club. Not because of their lack of investment, their haphazard managerial hires and transfer policies and weird sale and non-development of the team. All that stuff has fucking been awful. But it's more so for me, the thing that's been really criminal about the Glazer ownership over the last nearly 2 decades has been the way they've kind of, infested the club with this very unprofessional, disorganized, haphazard, professional setting thing where people just feel it's like it's okay to like speak up like this, have these open spats in public with their manager and just take the piss out of the club. That's basically what's happened at our club. It's not very serious. People don't feel like there's consequences for their actions. They can say what they want, do what they want. They'll get a new contract. They'll play shit. They'll get a new deal. There's no real like consequences for like bad performances, for doing stuff out of line, bringing the club into disrepute. It doesn't really exist. So I think the players are taking the piss, and that attitude has kind of permeated through the entirety of our club. And this is why we get these situations again and again. We had it already with Ronaldo. We had it before that. Who else? With Rashford had a disciplinary issue. We had Maguire recently had a disciplinary issue when Maguire went to Greece and had got into a fight and shit. All these things have been happening, and I feel basically it's because of the Glazers. They've created this atmosphere of toxicity and unprofessionalism. Don't get me wrong, Jadon Sancho's always also in these, he has a lot of fault to put in this as well, because fundamentally, if Jadon Sancho is playing well and performing to levels that he needs to perform at in training for the manager to pick him, this is not an issue. But I also think, in general, the managers and the players are kind of having to fight for themselves because we're not all pulling in the same direction. Anyway, other reasons. The other reason I was thinking about as well that came up was like, I wonder if Jadon Sancho is talking about the favoritism. And the favoritism that exists at our club does exist. People say it doesn't, but it does. And that favoritism is the favoritism against this guy, Antony. Antony, for the most part, has been Erik ten Hag's preferred winger. He's a guy he spent a lot of money on to bring him from Ajax, the team he was managing. So obviously he's going to trust him more. But he's had a lot of stinkers. He hasn't played very well. He hasn't been consistent for us. Yes, he has a good attitude. Yes, he tracks back. Yes, he's a trier. Yes, he's brave. Blah, blah, blah. But he still has stinkers. And he hasn't really justified his price tag. So if you're Jadon Sancho and you're seeing him play in front of you week in, week out. You're not getting any opportunity to impress or to break into the team. And he consistently keeps playing, doesn't get really, get subbed off, of course, but doesn't really come off from the bench, always starts games. It's going to really annoy you to the point where you're going to think, why should I bother in training if this guy's always guaranteed a place in the spot? Then he said other reasons about this guy. And I thought, you know what? The other reasons might have to do with the allegations around this guy's name. And if you've been paying attention on the social media, it's been fucking crazy. So not only do we have to deal with the fucking stuff with Mason Greenwood, now we have another issue with Antony. It's now being alleged that Antony may have physically abused his ex-wife, ex-girlfriend. I'm not too sure what the status was before. And it's getting really dark because there's pictures that she's uploaded online of a broken finger. There's pictures that she's uploaded online of bruising. There's been accounts I've read of reports that she had one of her breast implants deflate because of part of the abuse. There's been reports said that's not been confirmed that she may have miscarried because of the abuse that she suffered from Antony, allegedly. And it's got so deep that Antony's national team, Brazil, he's meant to be playing for, had decided to drop him because of the ongoing police investigation. Yes, you heard that right. The police are investigating Antony. The police are investigating because of why, you ask? Because guess what? The physical abuse took place in the UK. It also took place while he was playing for us. And to make it worse, one of the United doctors, one of the doctors employed at Manchester United to help the players, was involved in helping the woman at the time to tend her medical aid. So they're now alleging that the club had knowledge of this incident from when it happened a couple of years ago, and they effectively covered it up. And if I'm not mistaken, what I've read so far, that doctor who lended, aid to Antony's ex-wife or girlfriend has now left the club. And some people are alleging it's because of what went down. They were so pissed off that there was no internal investigation. They were so annoyed at what went down that they resigned. So United have actively took part in covering up a player's abuse of a woman. Abuse that led to a supposed broken finger, bruising, busted breast implant, and allegedly a miscarriage. My club is in the mud. My club is in the mud. And what's funny about this is that Man United didn't want to make a comment. They were avoiding it. They were trying to ignore it. Didn't want to say nothing. But because it's international week, all the players are off with their international teams. They couldn't ignore it because there's nothing else to talk about. There's only international football. It hasn't started yet. So they have to talk about it. So United have finally addressed it. And they addressed it in the most united way possible. They released an official statement on the Man United site about Antony and the ongoing investigations. And they used so many words and said nothing. I fucking love it. Right? This is the full statement. What you're seeing there on the screen. These two bits of these two paragraphs essentially. And they say nothing. The statement. Manchester United acknowledges the allegations made against Antony and notes the police are conducting inquiries. Pending further information, the club will be making no further comments. As a club, we're taking this matter seriously with consideration of the impact of these allegations and subsequent reporting will have on survivors of abuse. So essentially, they've said nothing. Even though there is probably as much information out there about Antony as there was about Greenwood. But he hasn't been suspended by the club. He's been suspended by his national team, but not by the club. Which to me tells me one thing, glaring one thing. I think my team kind of regrets ousting or listening or caving into the public pressure around Mason Greenwood, who's now at Getafe on loan. And again, they haven't sacked Mason Greenwood. They've sent him on loan to Getafe. And most likely, if he smashes it over there like he probably will, they'll bring him back to the club, especially under the new ownership. But I feel like the Glazers and the United hierarchy regretted caving into the fan pressure on Mason Greenwood. So they're going to take a stance of, it's a police investigation, but we're not going to say anything. And they're going to kind of, hold their hands up in the air and pretend it's not happening. That's what I think is going to happen. That's the scary part. That's the scary place we're in as a club. that we're essentially, you know, I wouldn't say enabling, but we're standing behind abusers. That's how bad we are, because they cost a lot of money and because we don't have that many players on the bench that are good to kind of replace them. We're basically standing behind abusers. We're co-signing abusers because we're fucking shit. Can you imagine? Can you fucking imagine? In an ideal world, really, when it comes to sports, maybe this is a bit of a radical point of view on this, there should be a real black and white way to approach things. Either you're a club that says, until a player gets charged, we're not going to take any action on them in terms of the sporting side of things. As long as they turn up on time for training, they do what needs to be done to be a professional of our club, and they play well, we're always going to play them. You have to be in two camps. Either you do that, or you be the camp that has like a moral spine. Or you're like, if a player does something to bring the club into disrepute, they get caught, you know, they get accused of rape by multiple people. They get accused of domestic violence. They beat children, whatever it may be. If it brings the club into disrepute, then we are also out. There has to be one, or you have to sit in one or either the camp. You can't have both or like flip between either approach based on the player. You have to either be the club that has a moral spine, or that has principles, or that has ethics or a code of conduct, or you have to be the club that says, police investigation, it's with the police now, but he plays football well, so we're going to play him. But you can't do both at the same time. That's what basically we did. We tried to approach it from the whole police investigation thing of Edison Greenwood. Then when the fans rioted and went crazy on social media because they didn't want to have an alleged rapist on the pitch, then they suddenly decided to be the principled, moral people and say we can't stand behind the guy. It's absolutely shocking. And I, for one, cannot wait until the Glazers leave my club, because I think this is the main reason why we're in a situation, because it just reminds me of being at work. When you're in a job and you have poor leadership, usually it's something that then kind of affects everybody underneath the leaders. It's sort of something that is a top down of effect. As they say, like, you know, fish rots from the head or whatever they say, that fucking saying. It honestly does happen. It happens all the time. And I feel like these players, you know, they kind of know. Footballers are a little bit immature. They kind of act like children anyway. So it's kind of like high school. It's a little bit like college. They know they can take the piss at United. And there's no real consequences. You get contract extensions. You still go on the fucking club tour. You still take part in all the pitches and shit. You get played. They know there's no consequences, but at top elite teams that want to win things, they have code of conduct. They have a code of ethics, code of conduct, whatever. They have rules. And if you break them, you're out. Doesn't matter who you are. So I really want to get to a place where I love my club again. But for now, it's hard to be in love with my club knowing what's fucking going on. Because I feel like these owners are essentially running us into the mud. And it's kind of sad. I'm not going to lie. It is legitimately sad. It makes me so fucking annoyed. But hey, what can you do? What can you do? Next, I'll talk about this, right? Next. This is interesting, right? Because I feel like this is a little bit racist. I'm not going to lie. Because it seems like it came straight after Carnival and it's got it in the headlines. So did you know, guys? Did you know? In the UK, nitrous oxide is now illegal. Nitrous oxide is now a category C drug. So it's in the same place, I think, as like steroids and like LSD and shit. So if you get caught with a certain amount of nitrous oxide, you can basically get a minimum of like 2 years prison sentence. Before that, it wasn't. You could just buy as much as you want online. I think people were buying the canisters on eBay because they were being sold as like, you know, stuff for like whipped cream and shit. So you could buy like these cake kits. And then, you know, because I know some boys in my hood who were like buying these things and selling them and whatnot. So you'd buy these boxes that were cake kits and then you just buy, you know, have the canisters and sell them outside of clubs. But because the nitrous oxide thing has got so fucking crazy, they have now made nitrous oxide illegal. And it's no surprise they did, because look at that skip. This is a skip of all the laughing gas that was found after Notting Hill Carnival. And it's a lot of fucking laughing gas. And the funny, wild thing about it is that these days the kids are so fucking extreme with laughing gas. Back in the day, I'd maybe have a couple of balloons, get a bit lightheaded and be on my way. Nowadays, there are kids outside who are holding these entire canisters in their hands and fucking taking that shit to the face. They're not fucking transporting that shit to a balloon and then sucking it in and out. Nah, they're taking the entire canister to the fucking face. So you can imagine how crazy it's getting with kids, to the point where kids are being admitted to hospital. They're fucking losing the feeling in their legs and shit, becoming paraplegic. It's going crazy, brain damage. Like, it's going wild. These kids are doing too much. So I understand the government wanting to step in, but I also find it super funny that they banned it right after Carnival. You know? They didn't want to lock up like 100,000 kids because every kid that was at Carnival was either smoking weed, drinking a Wagwan or a Magnum, or they had a fucking canister in their hand. So if they wanted to start arresting people, or if they made it illegal before Carnival, they would have had, you know, prisons overflowing with little fucking 18-year-olds and 21-year-olds. You know what I mean? They don't want that. So they did a good thing by doing it after Carnival, but it does still feel a little bit targeted. I'm not going to lie. So the article via Sky News. Nitrous oxide will be outlawed by the end of the year and categorized as a Category C drug by the government. The categorization of the substance, commonly referred to as laughing gas, means the users could face up to 2 years in prison and sellers up to 14 years. I had friends that were making absolute bank standing outside of certain clubs in London and selling fucking laughing gas. Because as you step out of a nightclub in London, it's 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., you're bleary-eyed, you ran out wherever you ran out on, and all you hear is tss, you know, it's like a call. It's like a fucking nitty call. I need some more drugs. And then you run over to them and the guy's like, yeah, I got 3 for 5, you know, 4 for 10, whatever the deal is. And here you are in the corner of the street with all these fucking balloons going, trying to fucking extend your night. It's kind of, there is a lot of like symbolism in that, innit, right? You're blowing in and out, trying to fucking extend the life of your night. Must party. When really it's over. It's done for. But here you are wanting to get a little bit lightheaded and kind of lean on the car and walk on the side of the street and shit. It's fucking pathetic, really. At the time you're doing it, it's kind of fun and funny. But when you're walking past people doing it, they kind of look like zombies. They kind of looks a bit crackheady. And it's kind of pathetic. I'm not going to lie. It really is. And I can't imagine how horrible it is for people that live in areas next to clubs. And the streets are covered in these little nitrous oxide canisters. These little steel, aluminium looking type of canisters all over the street. You're walking or you're going on your morning run. You're taking your dog out for a walk and fucking dogs are lovely, but they're dumb as fuck. One might grab it and start trying to eat it and shit. You have to fucking get your fingers in your dog's mouth and pluck the canister out. You're running and you're kicking little ding, ding, ding. You feel like you're fucking Sonic the Hedgehog with all the rings. Ding, 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 ding. Do you know what I mean? All over the place. So I get it. I get why they're banning it. Nitrous oxide is the second most commonly used drug. Oh my God. What's the first? It's the second most commonly used drug among 16 to 24-year-olds in England after cannabis. Wow. Okay. Now, see, that's why I say, I've always said this, England is a bad vibes place anyway, right? We hate fun. We hate good times. We're anti-leisurely activities. Unless it involves fucking alcohol, this country fucking hates it, right? Unless you're opening a restaurant or a fucking cocktail bar, anything involving clubs or whatever, they don't like it. That's why I've always said, I find it near on impossible that within my lifetime, cannabis will ever be legal in the UK. It's never happening. It's never happening. We're too puritanical. We're too prudish. We're too boring. We're too fuddy-duddy as a country. We would never, never in the million years legalize cannabis. If we fucking made nitrous oxide a category C drug, it's now a class C drug, right? Just lower than a class B and a class A. We're never gonna fucking make, cannabis legal. Never happening, bro. Never ever happening. No matter how much cannabis could, cannabis sales could be taxed and make a lot of money for the government and shit, they would never do it. Never ever do it. They hate seeing us have fun. They hate seeing us enjoy ourselves. They hate seeing us self-medicate. They hate it. It continues. It comes after 12,000 canisters were cleared from Notting Hill Carnival last month. 13 tons worth. The Royal Borough of Kensington said 13 tons of canisters. God almighty. The council had expected around five skipfuls of canisters after the world famous event. Michael Gove, the Levelling Up Secretary, announced in March that laughing gas will be banned under government plans to clamp down on antisocial behaviour. In his announcement went further than the recommendation of review commissioned by the Home Office, which stopped short of recommending a ban. In a statement, the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, the British people are fed up with yobs. They're calling them yobs. That's basically the white version of a thug, innit? Because unfortunately for them, you know, it's not only niggas that are doing the canisters, it's mostly the white kids. I mean, white kids love fucking, you know, they love a good fucking canister to the face. So they can't say like thugs, right? They can't say monkeys, right? They can't do that. They have to say yobs. And yobs is a good way to kind of group all kids under the age of 25, you know, antisocial behavior, essentially. It continues. The British people are fed up with yobs abusing drugs in public spaces and leaving behind disgraceful messes for others to clean up. Earlier this year, the Prime Minister promised a zero-tolerance approach to antisocial behaviour, and this is exactly what we're delivering. If you're caught using laughing gas as a drug, you could be hit with a hefty fine or face jail time. Yobs for jail time. Fucking pieces of shit. I hate them so much. The Home Secretary said new schemes are already underway to increase police patrols in hotspots. Areas of punishments can be given out. They're going to have police patrolling outside of E1. They're going to have police up and down E1 waiting to hear and they're going to be running down the street. Over 10 minutes, we got a canister, sound of canisters down on the street in Wapping, responding. They're going to have police officers with fucking their ears cupped, listening to the fucking narcs, man. Fucking piggy narcs. Oh, fucking hate them. Anyway, data provided by the London Ambulance Services given to Sky News show that 999 calls for instances relating to nitrous oxide more than tripled in a year, with 65 calls recorded in 2021 and 213 in 2022, up from 36 calls in 2018. So it's gone up steadily, hasn't it? The data kind of backs up the ban. The patients can suffer from a range of problems, from loss of immobility to mental health issues and sexual dysfunction. Yo, kids are getting erectile dysfunction super young, and it's causing an alarm because they want us to breed more so that we have more kids, so that we spend more, and that we pay more in taxes. That's actually why they want to ban these drugs. Because they know when we're high and we're stoned and we're chilled, we're not out there fucking and, you know, sucking and fucking. But if you're chilled and you're mostly liquored up and shit, you're boozed up, you're probably going to be sucking and fucking. Which is then going to mean you're going to pay more tax. Oh, I get it. Two nitrous oxide patients have had to have drains inserted into their brains to save their eyesight. That's when you know you're doing too much. If you ever do a drug that requires you to be admitted into hospital, that's already a sign. But then if you have to be admitted to hospital, not just for like a, you know, a little standard run-of-the-mill overdose. No. If you have to go to a hospital to get your brain drained to save your eyesight, maybe it's time you quit. Maybe it's time you realize drugs aren't for you. Right? Maybe it's a user error thing. Maybe. The ban also promised, as part of the government's anti-social behaviour action plan, with the Home Secretary urging police forces to get tougher. Fucking hell. Chris Phillip, the Crime and Policing Minister, said, "We can't allow young people to think that there are no consequences for misusing drugs." No, anyway, whatever. There's no question that abusing laughing gas is dangerous to people's health, and it's paramount we take divisive action against the situation before it gets worse. So, unfortunately for you kids out there, the laughing gas fun has ended legally. If you want to do it now, you have to do it at home. If you are going to do it in your gardens, in dark parks where you might get, fucking abducted and stolen by the Crystalia types and shit, it's very risky. So now you have to really make a decision. Do you really want to do nitrous oxide? Do you know what I mean? If you do nitrous oxide, you might get diddled. So you have to decide. It's up to you. You kids out there, up to you. Because I ain't doing that shit anymore. I fucking graduated to harder stuff, but I don't even do the harder stuff anymore as much as I used to. So for me, I'm out. I'm tapped out. I could never get to any. And for me, laughing gas is a lot like shisha. Not sure if you guys agree. I think laughing gas for me is a lot like shisha. Shisha, like a couple of times, a couple of pulls here and there, cool. After a while, I kind of get sick of it. It kind of gives me a bit of a headache, makes me a bit queasy. I'm like, I'm good. Same with laughing gas. I couldn't understand why. That's why I saw kids like outside at a club, like taking the whole thing to the face. I'm like, it's never that. Don't get me wrong. If I had a cancer to myself, it'd be cool. But I wouldn't be, oh my God, I'm so happy I'll take it to the face. It's not that deep, really. It's not that good. It's like, but hey. What do I know when it comes to that stuff? Maybe I'm the one that's in the wrong. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Moving on from that, I wanted to quickly talk about these. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but we finally got some updated pictures on the rumored Travis Scott sneakers that are due to be coming out very soon. They're a Jordan, so it's a Jordan collaboration, very interesting. Instead of him doing a retro model that he's already done before, he decided to make a completely new model. So from the ground up, a completely new model has been made. And he debuted them in the best way possible by standing on top of some of his sick cars that he has all wrapped in brown and looking fucking cool and shit. And he had a picture of the shoe as he's wearing them that you can see here. If you zoom in a little bit, it's got a bit of a strap on it. You see the bit of a swoosh. But the next picture here shows off the shoe a little bit better so you can get a little bit more of an idea on what they look like. And I have to be honest, I really like the look of them. They kind of look like, to me, like one of the better options for me to wear a CrossFit shoe. Because at the moment, the CrossFit Metcons that they have at the moment, which is the official Nike CrossFit shoe or cross training shoe, I've not really been liking the new iterations of the Metcon. I think the last Metcon I bought brand new might have been like a Metcon 3 or 4 or something. I think now they're up to maybe over 10, and so far the designs are just getting progressively worse. They're not great to look at or even to wear. This looks fucking shit. So I'm always trying to find an option to wear of a shoe that isn't maybe a conventional training shoe but could be adopted as such, and I think this might be a good option. There's not a lot of flex in the shoe, in terms of running and whatnot, but in terms of just doing some classic, cross-training workouts, especially having a shoe that has a bit of a zero drop, there's not like a crazy heel on them. I think these might work as good gym shoes, especially with this 4-foot strap here, where you can kind of, tighten them on your feet a little bit and have, your feet be a bit snug so they're not moving around the place all over the place and shit. I think these might end up working, but I actually do just like the look of them in general. If I'm looking at them, I'd say they kind of remind me of a mix between like a Huarache trainer with the strap, maybe a Speridon, and then I'm not too sure about the rest of it. But I think the first two will definitely be the Nike Air Huarache trainer. I'm not too sure if you guys know this one. It's got the strap on the top. I remember we used to wear them back in the day when I was into sneakers super heavy. It's the one with the strap. Let's see where's it actually called? That's the one there. It's called the Air Huarache Trainer. And sometimes we'd wear it at school as well in all black. So it's this particular model as you see here. That one there in the grey. So that new Travis shoe kind of reminds me of that with the strap. It kind of looks similar to that with the strap on it. I think so. Whereas I think it's this one, right? Or is it? Yeah, that one. So it kind of looks a little bit like that with the strap, as you can see there. And again, as you can see with this one there, there's a bit of the strap there. And then it also looks a little bit like the Nike Speridon. I think. It's the OG one I'm talking about. The OG Speridon. There we go. Yeah, this particular Speridon. what's it called? It's called the Air Zoom Spiridon. So that Travis kind of reminds me a little bit, especially the sole. I think that sole is a Spiridon sole, to be fair. I'm pretty sure it is. It looks very similar to a Spiridon sole anyway. I'm pretty sure that Travis Scott shoe is a Spiridon sole. Let me just double check here, but I'm pretty sure that sole is definitely the same as this, isn't it? I'm sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there I got the even tab here. There you go. It's yeah, it's a Spiridon. It's 100% a Spiridon sole that's been kind of, you know, readapted onto the top of that of that new Travis Scott shoe. So I'm looking forward to seeing them when they drop. We have no idea on the release date. We've seen a lot of colorways of him wearing them in different colorways, actually. Let's see if I can get another picture up. There's actually another colorway of shoe, of Jordan, of this shoe from Travis coming out that I've seen that I've not really liked. I think I've liked this colorway the best. This is kind of like a white with the Travis Scott signature brown on the swoosh and on the midsole. But I've seen a few other colorways pop up on my timeline that made me, you know, kind of got me intrigued, kind of sparked my interest when it comes to a lot of this. I'm not going to lie. Where is it? Can I see it? Nope. We've got Jocelyn videos. We've got Bjork here, I think. Some white guy with glasses. We've got some food ting. I don't see a lot of Travis here. Maybe I should have wrote Travis Scott cut the check on there too. Let's write that. Maybe I could get that up on the screen. Or maybe I can get that up to the scribe. Bear with me a sec. I think that's wrote Travis Scott. Cut the check. Let's see it here. Let's see it. Oh no, I don't want that. I don't want Master Jedi. Who the fuck is Master Jedi? I don't know who Master Jedi is. Let's not go back to that person. I want to just let's let me. The Twitter search is a bit weird as well, isn't it? Travis Scott. There you go. Cut the check. That's all I want. Just give me that. Let's see if we got the other colorways I can see here, because I remember seeing a couple other ones that I actually liked the look of. Yeah, so we got this black one. Again, I don't think that's a cut the check thing. I think that's just like maybe a sample. He's kind of trialing or wearing out, test wearing and shit. It looks like a low version of a Jordan 5 with a backward swoosh on one of the shoes. That's what it looks like. But here's the other colorway. You've got this colorway here. It's like a white, black with a yellow. Of course, you've got that original one that I was trying to show you. See if we see any more here. You've got original. Yeah, that's the colorway I'm talking about here. It looks like a flight trainer or something, right? It's like white with yellow bits and stuff. I kind of like the look of that. And there's also, it's the same pair. I thought it was all yellow pair. So he's wearing those. Let's see if there's any more colorways. There's also this colorway here that I like. It comes in a white with black with the, you know, swoosh backwards. That's pretty decent as well, the white colorway. And like the bit of the white outsole here, that looks pretty nice also. And the big thick strap that you could see on the model, which one? No, this one there. So it's the same strap there, you can see it. And I think that might be it in terms of color. So far we've got three. Right? We've got this, we've got the brown, we've got this white and black one, and I think that might be it in terms of colorways. The other one, yeah, that might be it. Only those three colors so far we've seen. But I'm so eager to see what they look like in hand. Hopefully we get a black pair. I'd wear those instantly, of course. And then there we go. That's a better picture of them actually. There you can see them, the cut the check shoes. So I'm actually curious to see what he does going forward, because it's quite cool that he's deciding to take this risk, because he could have easily put out a Jordan 4, another Jordan 1, put out 6 or 7 and 8, and people would have lapped it up. They would have sold out in record time. They'd be going for hundreds of dollars, if not thousands on StockX. He could have easily taken that easy risk and did that, but he didn't. He tested himself and pushed himself and stuff, him and his team, and worked on an entirely new model they built from the ground up. And you know, perfect. I like it. I'm not mad at it, to be fair. This particular model doesn't look like it's got a Spiridon sole though. That's the only interesting bit. So I wonder if all these are like samples that he's been wearing just to kind of wear test. But this outsole doesn't look, or midsole doesn't look very similar to the Spiridon-esque sole that we have here on this particular model. So maybe this might be the final one, or this is part of the test valuation phase of the shoe and shit. But either way, this is very different outsole and midsole to the other ones that we've seen so far. But can't wait to see more when they do eventually drop. Big ass Travis Scott. Hopefully they drop very soon. Hopefully there's no party or festival tied with them, because you know what goes down with him when he does those type of things over there in the States. So we can only hope and pray. We can only hope and pray. And then I want to talk about briefly these particular shoes that I'm all over. I think mostly because they look a lot like Air Mox. or Nike Mocs that I'm sure most of you won't like, but this is a new collaboration with the one and only Cactus Plant Flea Market and Nike on this new shoe called the Air Flea 2. The funny thing about Cactus Plant Flea Market, from what I've been reading online and the word around the grapevine, the people involved with Cactus Plant Flea Market, whether it's the founder, I forgot her name, the woman, or whether it's the team that works with her, I've read or seen online or heard that they have now replaced Tremaine at Supreme. They might have been working there before. There may have been people Tremaine brought in. I'm not too sure. But I've now heard that those people have basically taken over the creative direction role on a somewhat, temporary basis while the investigation continues and shit. That's what I've heard. So a lot of people that didn't like Tremaine's designs or didn't like the Denim Tears stuff, you're going to be in for a shock, because a lot of the stuff you don't like that Denim Tears does, Cactus Plant Flea Market does, I think, a similar sort of thing, similar aesthetic. Yes, it's another sort of voice. It comes from another perspective, and it's not like a big fancy head person behind it, but it's kind of the same. It's for me. So, if you're crying about Tremaine, I want to see real tears from you motherfuckers when you hear that this lady is designing for Supreme also. But I love this shoe because they remind me of the Mocs and because they're utterly ugly. The Cactus Plant Flea Market and Nike Air Flea 2 were releasing in 2 colorways in holiday, retailing at $220. So we already know the release date, and there's going to be another colorway coming. Maybe it's the one that we saw. No, actually, the same color we saw the band guy wearing, right? It was these as well. But I love the look of them. I love the fact that the laces are removable. It was these buttons everywhere. You can put different badges on them and shit. I like them. They really, really do flip and look good. And you got more pictures here. Somebody actually got them in hand, as you can see. They do their best to hide their finger and shit. They don't want to be identified. But yeah, you can see they've got them in hand. And they look absolutely banging. I can't wait to eventually get mine when they come out, because I've got a feeling, because everyone hates what they look like and they look so marmitey, no one's going to buy them, which is big cap, because, resellers and sneakerheads are just fucking sheep. So as soon as they see someone else wearing it and it looks good, they're going to buy it also. So it kind of is what it is. But I am happy that these are coming out regardless, because like I said, I'm a big fan of the Nike Air Moc. And I think that sole of these particular shoes looks a lot like a Nike Moc. And if you don't know what Nike Moc is, I'm going to get it up for you. It's a Nike Moc. It's an ACG shoe that I think was that was inspired by a potato or something. The idea was like, oh, how would I make a potato into a shoe? And then the person decided, hey, here's how you do it. You know what I mean? Here's how. And this is what we end up getting. These Nike Moc things I absolutely love and adore. I used to think I was so cool wearing those things until somebody told me I wasn't. Then I started to feel super self-conscious. So it kind of is what it is. It kind of is what it is. And then what else we can talk about that? A competitive flea market. And I think that might be it, my lovelies. It's only been 2 hours plus of this live stream, of this podcast. Hopefully you've had a good time listening to my sultry tones. And yeah, if you've enjoyed the pod, thank you. Share it with your family and friends. And if you have enjoyed it enough, please leave me a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast app or whatever podcast app you use. Leave reviews, let people know you enjoyed it. So maybe they'll find it, maybe they won't, but it just makes me look, makes you look important. So help me out. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to the Agostinho Zinga show. It's been a pleasure to have your company. If you listen to the audio side of the show, you will hear my tune of the day as an outro as I speak. You will hear my tune of the day. Most likely it's going to be Nelly Furtado, Justin Timberlake and Timbaland on Keep It Up or Keep Going Up, whatever the fucking title is. You'll probably hear that playing as my tune of the day. So definitely do listen to it if you haven't already. And I'll see all you guys again very, very soon. Take care. Be safe. Peace.